お前はどこまで見えている。俺の死に様か。
POV Sasuke. The alarm clock rang. I reached for my phone to turn it off. It's only 7 o'clock. Today is the 1st of September. God, summer. Where are you going? I haven't rested yet. I really wanted to hang out with my friends. At school, girls will hang on to me. How infuriating this is. I covered my head with a blanket. Maybe pretend to be dead? Yes, I will do that. Sasuke. Get up. I know you're not sleeping. My older brother, Itachi, looked into the room. Well, what kind of person? Always ruins the fun. I just wanted to pretend to be dead. And in general, he is worse than my mother, so that I don't lecture him all the time. Sasuke, get up. You'll be late for school. If I don't say anything, then maybe he'll leave. The key word is possibly. Yes. The door closed and Itachi's footsteps retreated. Excellent day. I lay down more comfortably. I know that I won't be able to fall asleep, but I can still lie peacefully in bed. Moreover, today there is only a ruler, and we were given textbooks before the summer holidays. So there is no point in going to school. Outside the window the birds are singing, the sun is shining. Just a great day to do nothing. Suddenly I felt something cold pouring on me. Way. I got tangled in the blanket and fell out of bed. Itachi stood above me and smiled, holding a jug in his hand. This man poured cold water on me. Piece of idiot. Yes, how did you come up with that? I shouted. He just smiled and told me to get up and leave. I'll ask again, what kind of person is he, and what kind of person is he in general? Somehow, with swearing, I got up and trudged into the bath. Why do I need this? Coming out of the bath, I went to put on my school uniform. Faye. What a terrible word school uniform is. It's like Monday. After getting dressed, I went to have breakfast. Omelette. Again? For breakfast it's the same thing, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs. And so on alternately every day. Sasuke, eat quickly. While you've been lying around for 20 minutes past 8, and this despite the fact that you set the alarm clock for 7 o'clock, my beloved brother reproached me, I'll take you anyway. Can I not go to school? I asked with hope in my voice. No. Sasuke, are you already in 10th grade? Next year, you have to take exams that will decide your fate. You have to try. And this despite the fact that you are an excellent student and a good boy. I can swear that Itachi is almost laughing at me. Yes, I am an excellent student and absolutely all the teachers signed me up for boys, although this is not so. I'm just trying to be discreet. Okay. This year I will have a blast. Tired of it. Spit. Have you eaten? Let's go then, Itachi smiled. I obeyed and left the house. While my brother was taking the car out of the garage, I closed the door. By the way, this asshole has already found a job for himself, he just didn't have time to graduate from university. And he doesn't say who he works for. We got to school quickly. I said goodbye to my brother and went into school, before crossing myself. I walked calmly along the corridor and didn't bother anyone. Suddenly, a hurricane of blonde hair flew past me and, quite painfully, hit me with the shoulder. I exclaimed indignantly. This hurricane stopped and turned towards me. I saw a rather beautiful girl. She smiled kindly and apologized and then ran away again. That smile gave me goosebumps. I have seen a huge number of smiles intended for me, but never for a person to smile so sincerely. I haven't seen this girl at school before, apparently she's new. I wonder what class she's in. I looked at the clock hanging in the corridor. They showed 5 minutes to 9. I should hurry to class. I entered the room exactly as the bell rang. When I walked in, everyone stared at me. Then all the girls squealed something like, "Ah, it's Sasuke," or "It's Sasuke-kun. He's looking here." And stuff like that. I sat down at my desk, my best friend Suigetsu sitting next to me. My bro. At least some kind of joy. I also have a friend, Haruno Sakura. These two meet, author's note, you're giving a non-standard pairing. And I am among them, sometimes, of course, like a third wheel. But they are still cool guys. Suigetsu and I were talking calmly, but the teacher came into the classroom and we had to shut up. And so, guys, Kakashi-sensei began to say, "From today on, I'm your homeroom teacher, this is the news." We had another one, "Your old teacher retired," with the words. Now, I even wrote it down. But, ahem. Go to hell, suckers. You're sick of me already. Hooray. I'm retiring, you'll rot for 2 more years. Ahahaha. Yes, our classmate loved us. Well, what? We love him the same way. At least Kakashi is cheerful. Oh, yes, kids. I have more news. We have a new girl. Come in, Naruko. A girl came into the class, the same one who touched me in the corridor. Now I could see her. Long blonde hair, childishly tied into 2 tails, blue eyes, outstanding proportions. She was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt with matching sneakers. She really stands out from the other girls. Dressed out of shape. Hello, I'm Naruko Uzumaki. I'm 16. I hope we can become friends, the newcomer introduced herself. And again that smile. What is your breast size? Someone from the class asked. Suigetsu burst into his fist, as did me and the whole class. I wonder how this person will get out. But Naruko stood with a straight face. If this is so important to you, then the girl answered. How long is your penis? Everyone laughed out loud and turned to the guy who was asked the question. He was sitting all red. The teacher crawled out from under the table and wiped away the tears that had come out due to laughter. Naruko, you will be my favorite. Sit down with Sakura. Naruko nodded her head and walked towards Haruno's desk. I heard how the girls met. While the sensei was telling all the announcements, I periodically heard Sakura talking and laughing with Naruko. Apparently we got along. Tomorrow everyone will surround this Uzumaki, I give it 100%. After the call, who went to party and who went home? I was among the latter. Sakura said that she would go for a walk with Naruko, well, my bro, and I went home. The rest of the day I thought about how to get me off the boys list and I came up with an idea. Tomorrow everything will definitely work out. End of Sasuke's POV. POV Naruko. I woke up at 7:30 as usual. It takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to walk to school. Yesterday, I and Sakura quickly left school, because I was afraid that my classmates would surround me and not let me leave. Sakura Haruno is a very cheerful girl. It's easy for me to communicate with her. Firstly, she is not interested in fashion, so she doesn't even touch on the topic of what pretty shoes with a 30-meter stiletto. I didn't make a mistake with the length measure I bought yesterday. Secondly, she doesn't rack her brain about, my boyfriend. All I know is that her boyfriend's name is Suigetsu, and that's it. And thirdly, she doesn't listen to any vanilla bullshit. Sakura loves listening to bands such as Nirvana, Skillet, Imagine Dragons, and so on. In all these points, she and I are incredibly similar. In general, at my previous school I was an excellent student. But I was kicked out of there because of my behavior. And in general, there was complete discrimination at that school. The younger ones were offended by the older ones, there were thefts, the teachers treated the students in an unpedagogical manner. In general, because I was indignant and fought back, I was kicked out of there with all my belongings. Of course, I complained where necessary and the school was closed, which I was immensely happy about. Still, I had friends there too. And I like the school where Sakura studies. There is a kind director and cheerful teachers. And I can make my debut whenever I want. In class, as I understand it, many guys consider themselves I'm sexy, and I know it. While I was talking with Sakura, many guys were discussing me and how they could hit on me. Well, no matter, we'll drive them away. Sakura also told me about all her, and now my, classmates. Behind these great thoughts, I've already washed my face, changed into jeans and a t-shirt with a bear's face, like a little child, by God, and now I'm sitting and having scrambled eggs for breakfast. No, I know how to cook, but I'm somehow too lazy to stand at the stove early in the morning and cook something delicious. After breakfast, I packed my briefcase. Our first language seems to be English. For some reason, this language was easier for me than Japanese. But in the end, I also learned that unfortunate Japanese. Not without help, I admit, but I learned it. All these 1945 kanji. It was such a hassle. Having gotten ready, I put on my favorite white sneakers, which I hesitated to wash, but I'm not going to change them, took a sweatshirt, you never know the weather will turn bad, and went to school with a calm soul. Damn, before I have time to enter the classroom, they will surround me from all sides. I guarantee it will happen, but I will run away. Sakura said that she comes to school early, around 8 o'clock. Therefore, I won't be bored until the call. So, should I freeze today? Yesterday I showed one of my 3 sides. I showed myself calm and calm, this is my first side. The second is recklessness and a little madness. Well, the third is nobility and protection of your friends. Everyone will know the second side today. Oh, here comes the school. Before I could reach the locker room, Sakura attacked me, shouting, "Run while you can." A crowd of students ran behind her. You know, this is not good. I rushed out into the street. There are more places where I can hide. Still, the schoolyard is huge. I turned around the corner of the school and hid. I decided to write to Sakura. Sakura, what the hell? Who are all these people? I received an answer instantly. Naruko, just don't worry. Remember that guy who asked about your breast size? So, he secretly took pictures of you and hung them all over the school, while signing your name and details. Now all the guys want to meet you. Naruko, that crowd is your, if you can call them that, fans. And then it was as if I was shocked. What's that guy's name? Kankuro. Kankuro means. Well, Kankuro, did you think of taking me like this? Yeah, right now. You can't fool me like that. I'd like to hit you with something. How much time? 8:40, still 20 minutes until the bell. I listened, no one seemed to notice. Looking around, I noticed an impressively thick stick. I carefully walked over and took the item. No, the stick was not long, but it was heavy. Well, I'll drive away my fans and crack this Kankuro. 2 birds with 1 stone. Wahahahaha. I came out of my hiding place. The crowd was still looking for me. It's for the best, I hid my murder weapon behind my back. Hey! I'm here! I shouted. The crowd rushed towards me. Closer, even closer, just a little closer. Here, now. I pulled out the stick. My fans immediately stopped when they saw my weapon. Well, why did you stop? With a smile, Allah, I'll kill everyone and everything, let's go and get acquainted. Negative exclamations were heard and my favorites ran away. All. One less problem. I entered the school and went to class. Sakura stood near the office with an excited face. Sakura! I called my friend. She wanted to ask something. Don't ask anything. Is this Kankuro here? I asked, to which I received an affirmative nod, excellent. I went into class. The guy was sitting at his desk and talking to someone. I just didn't remember everyone yet. I jumped up to him. "Hello, Kankuro." I cheerfully greeted the guy. "About." "Hello, Naruko. How's it going?" He answered me in the same tone. Instead of answering his question, I hit the guy on the head with a stick as hard as I could. There was silence. "Now even better," I exclaimed. "Oh, yes. If this happens again, you won't get off," with a light bump. Then, just as cheerfully, she went to her desk and sat down at it. As soon as I did this, there was laughter throughout the class. The most popular phrase was, "Again, Naruko put you in your place." While everyone was laughing, I looked around the room. Almost everyone is in class. No, only a couple of students. Damn, the day has just begun, and I'm already standing out. If Itachi-san finds out, he will be unhappy. I promised him that I would behave well. Although, as they say, they wait 3 years for the promised. The bell rang and the missing people entered the classroom. Sakura sat down next to me. She was still in shock. Otherwise, this is not so important. By the way, we are sitting by the window. On the third desk in front of us are these, well, what's their name? And Sasuke and Suigetsu. This is explained by the fact that it is more convenient for friends to talk this way. I don't mind, everyone likes to talk. The teacher entered the class. The lesson has begun. End of Naruko's POV. The first, then the second and third lesson passed. The biggest change has come, because lunch. Sakura invited Naruko to have lunch with Suigetsu and Sasuke, but she refused, saying that she had some business. Which? Now you'll find out. In the dining room, Uzumaki quietly slipped into the department where food was prepared. From there, she quietly stole a saucepan and a ladle. Then she also quietly left, Miss Insignificance. Naruko went to the youngest grade first. "Kids," the girl sang, entering the classroom, "I have a proposal for you. Do you want to make your first school debut?" "Yes, such that the whole school remembers everything." "Of course we want." The kids unanimously agreed. "And what?" "Everyone wants to show off." "Then, stand behind me 2 by 2, she ordered. The guys obediently completed everything. "Now you are all marching, you will follow me and sing along when needed. When you understand for yourself." "I'm sure you know this song," Naruko said. "Oh, yes. My name is Naruko Uzumaki." "That's it, let's go, march at a pace." Naruko, leading the line, holding a saucepan in her left hand and a ladle in her right, turned to face the guys and shouted. "Are you ready, kids?" "Yes, Captain." The kids immediately got their bearings. "I can't hear." "That's right, Captain." "Oh." Naruko stretched out and, spreading her arms and knocking rhythmically on the pan with a ladle, began to sing, "Who lives at the bottom of the ocean, Laren?" "Sorry, I couldn't resist." "SpongeBob SquarePants." The first graders locked them in response. "Yellow sponge, baby without a flaw?" "SpongeBob SquarePants." Everyone came out to see this spectacle. Some sang along, some laughed, some filmed on their phones, and some, like Sakura, simply Rukolitsa. Thump thump thump. Hand face. Does everyone know this song? Because Haruno realized what kind of fruit her friend really was. Meanwhile, Naruko continued. "Who wins always and everywhere?" "SpongeBob SquarePants." "Who feels like a fish in water?" "SpongeBob SquarePants." The Uzumaki then began to sing along with the children. "SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants." And the bell rang. No one will ever forget this day. Yes, Naruko knows how to surprise. And this is only the first day. Basically, all the remaining lessons went smoothly, but Sasuke couldn't sign himself out of the boys' ranks today because of Naruko's debut. Well, nope. tomorrow will be the day. A typical morning for Naruko Uzumaki. She got up, washed, changed clothes, ate and went to school, so we won't touch her, but we'll visit Sasuke Uchiha like we did. Sasuke spent the whole day yesterday trying to attract attention to himself, but to no avail. That same attention was always taken away by the restless girl. Naruko. One name and already so many memories. And she's only been in class for 2 days, what will happen next? Sasuke really wants to talk to her, but there is one thing. He physically cannot do it. Naruko goes somewhere with Sakura, shows her rebellious side, and draws in class. When is she going to study? He doesn't give his cell phone number to anyone, only Sakura and Suigetsu know. And Sasuke was most surprised that Suigetsu knew him, meaning Naruko's number. He also replied that he talked with Naruko when she and Sakura were walking home. To Sasuke's question, "Where was I?" the guy replied, "You were offended that you couldn't sign yourself out of the boys' ranks and went home in splendid isolation." Something like this. Sasuke woke up in a bad mood. He got up on his own, no one woke him up. The Uchiha changed his clothes and went to have breakfast. Mom and Dad went on a business trip for a month. It's normal for them to leave so often. After all, famous businessmen. But despite this, they still love their children very much. And after a long absence, they forget about everything and spend 2 weeks only with the children, which could not but please the latter. Itachi was in charge of the kitchen, he even knew how to cook very well. And where did he learn it? Sasuke, are you awake? Really himself? This needs to be written down somewhere, Itachi smiled. Good morning to you too, muttered the younger Uchiha. Why are you so sad? Not enough sleep? Get used to it, it will be like this almost every day. Itachi sighed and put fried eggs on the table in front of Sasuke and sat down to eat. I won't eat, Sasuke said and pushed the plate of food away. What a news. Why are you not going to eat? Itachi was surprised. I don't want. Why did you come then? Go to school then. Take me. No. First of all, it's still quite early. Secondly, you can walk there yourself, it only takes about 15 minutes to walk from school to home. And thirdly, sit and eat, Itachi said calmly. I don't want these unfortunate scrambled eggs. Every day the same thing. Omelette, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs. Nothing new. And in general, I'm in a bad mood. Do not bother me. And take me to school, Sasuke said. Itachi put his fork on the plate and slowly stood up from the table, leaning towards his brother. Now listen to me. Eat what they give you or go to censorship. Your school. And if you throw a tantrum at me again, I'm afraid that you won't wake up at all. Do you understand me, Sasuke? Itachi said in a murderous voice. The guy squeezed into a chair and nodded fearfully. Well done, Itachi smiled, sitting down. Sasuke quickly ate and left for school. Now he realized that he couldn't anger his brother. Sasuke entered the classroom and was immediately struck by the crowd standing near Sakura and Naruko's desks. He immediately realized that the blonde had failed to escape this time. In general, it was quite early. Sasuke always wondered why his classmates came so early. It was only 8:30, and everyone was already gathered. The Uchiha walked up to his desk and coughed for his seat to be vacated. Oh, hi, Sasuke, Naruko greeted cheerfully. Hello, the guy nodded in response and sat down at his desk, while taking out an algebra textbook and notebook. Naruko then spoke to her classmates again. As it turned out, she could support absolutely any topic, which could not but please the crowd gathered around her. Sasuke, Suigetsu called to his friend, make this crowd disperse. They attached themselves to Naruko when she first arrived. What can I do? You know, I'm not an authority for everyone, Sasuke objected. You can at least influence the girls. True, Naruko doesn't often answer their questions, but they chatter. Oh, how good it is, Suigetsu sighed tiredly. And it's clear from Naruko herself that she's tired and she wants to talk to Sakura, and not with this whole crowd. Naruko really looked kind of lethargic. Okay, I'll do something now, the Uchiha agreed, then, without getting up, he turned to the crowd. Dear classmates, I'll ask you to disperse. Your chatter is giving me a headache. Shoot, everyone, the Uchiha's eyes flashed somehow angrily. Dissatisfied exclamations were heard, but the crowd still dispersed. Thank you, Sasuke, otherwise my tongue has already dried up, Naruko sighed and buried her face in the desk. I see you have become popular in such a short time, Sasuke said, turning to the girls. It's all because of her ability to stand out from the crowd with her actions and appearance, Sakura answered instead of Naruko. Well, don't tell me. I'm not beautiful. I don't wear makeup, I don't wear fashionable clothes, and I don't even speak like a girl, Naruko objected. Come on. Despite everything you listed, many guys want to go on a date with you. I've heard that many times, Suigetsu interjected. You know, Naruko, you're just like Sasuke. He also became popular in just 2 days, Sakura said. Is it true? And they told me that Sasuke is a good local boy who studies excellently and has exemplary behavior. Naruko was sincerely surprised. Suigetsu burst into his fist, and Sakura too, if she could contain her laughter. Who told you about this? Sasuke asked, menacingly. It's not that important, Naruko answered evasively. Well, she couldn't say that his own brother told her about this. All the girls love him because of his appearance, and the guys consider him an athlete. He used to go to wrestling or something. And the surname is quite famous, said Suigetsu. That's how it is. So, do you mean you're a local ladies' man? Naruko inquired. Something like that. But in general, I am not attracted by this title. When they see me, all the girls, except Sakura, begin to squeal and run after me. I can't even eat in peace, Sasuke snorted. Fahaha, Naruko laughed, then get yourself a girlfriend, or pretend that there is someone for you too. He does not want. He says it's stupid. Sasuke, don't be offended, but it seems to me that you like this attention, Sakura said. What? Sasuke fell out of his chair from such a statement. Everyone in the class noticed this, and the trio the Uchiha was talking to laughed cheerfully. The guy stood up and sat back down. Do you really think so? Asked Sasuke. He was not very pleased with the thought that Sakura really thought so, after all, and she was the first who did not run after him. To be honest, I think so too, Suigetsu admitted. What a news. I'm still offended by you, Sasuke pointedly turned away. Huh, Naruko grinned, don't worry. But you weren't driven from everywhere. What do you mean they didn't drive you? Sasuke was surprised, immediately forgetting about his offense against Sakura and Suigetsu. Well, how can I say, they didn't like me at my old school, because of my behavior and studies, Uzumaki scratched the back of her head. Because of studies? Are your grades so bad? Sakura asked. No, just the opposite. I studied excellently. I always scored 100 points on tests and quizzes. So the teachers had to give me good grades. But in the end they kicked me out because of my behavior. To be honest, I was glad, because complete injustice reigned there. I complained to the right people and the school was closed. This is my little revenge, Naruko said. Sasuke, the girl is smarter than you, Suigetsu grinned. Go ahead, Sasuke didn't have time to finish when the bell rang. The teacher entered the class. Dorov, Kakashi greeted, I'll start with the fact that the teachers complained to me. Naruko, he turned to the student, you've already managed to get things done. Kankuro was hit on the head with a stick, she sang songs with the elementary school students in the corridors, and that's how you talk in class. You also forgot to mention that you used the same stick to drive away fans, Uzumaki inserted the word. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that, the teacher grinned, as punishment, I'm taking you away from Haruno. What? Naruko exclaimed, no. Yes. But so be it, due to the fact that you are my favorite, you will sit Sasuke, said the sensei. Oh, okay then, Uzumaki waved her hand. Don't forget that Sasuke and Suigetsu are sitting in front of Sakura and Naruko. Uchiha, receive the guests. Pfft. Welcome, Uzumaki, Sasuke said. Suigetsu and Naruko stood up, switching places, and high-fived each other as they did so. Hozuki had long ago told Naruko in confidence that he wanted to sit with Sakura, to which Uzumaki promised to give him such an opportunity. Said, done, here you go, sit as quickly as you like. Now let's take out the double leaves, Kakashi flashed his eyes. Disapproving exclamations were heard, don't be indignant. Here are the tasks, Sensei handed out pieces of paper with the task, let's solve it, my dears. The teacher always gives tests after vacations or weekends, that's what he's famous for, Sasuke whispered to Naruko, who nodded. The guy started solving examples. The girl also got to work. After about 20 minutes, Naruko put down her pen and began to rock in her chair. Sasuke noticed this and asked, why don't you decide? Can I help you? Nah, I've decided everything, Naruko answered, bored. Already? Flashed through the Uchiha's head. Uzumaki, why don't we decide? Kakashi asked a question. Sensei, I've decided everything, can you check? Naruko asked. Has she already decided everything? Wow. Even Sasuke hasn't decided yet. She most likely did something bad, they began to whisper in class. Okay, bring it. And I'll ask the rest to continue doing their jobs, Kakashi said. Naruko walked up to the teacher's desk with a confident gait. Yes, that's correct. It is too. So. That's right, muttered the sensei, excellent, Uzumaki, 100 points. Kakashi announced the result to the whole class. Wow. Naruko top. She's crazy, she's so smart, came the admiring remarks. Naruko sat down in her seat and began to rock on her chair. Naruko, you're smart. Now you stand out intellectually, Sakura whispered to the girl. We continue to work, Kakashi said, and everyone fell silent. At recess, everyone surrounded Naruko again. The guys asked her to practice algebra with them, and the girls compared the answers. Uzumaki barely escaped. The second lesson was biology, which Naruko and her friends lost in rock paper scissors. The third lesson was geography, which the four also lost, only in tic-tac-toe. It's lunchtime. Naruko, Sakura, Suigetsu, and Sasuke sat down at the table. Having wished bon appetit, Uzumaki began to eat the bun with meat, washing it down with tea. A guy walked past the table and spilled hot tea on Naruko. The girl jumped out from the table with a squeal. Everyone turned to look at her. Oh. Sorry, Naruko. I didn't do it on purpose, honestly. The guy began to make excuses. Damn, I won't give it to you on purpose. Uzumaki exclaimed, they challenge you to a fight. Naruko, what are you doing? Are you saying have a food fight? Suigetsu asked worriedly. What? Quite what? We are not snotty school TV series. It's a cruel real world. We'll play cards. Naruko exclaimed, slamming a deck of cards onto the table. 20 minutes later, Naruko was already playing her fifth game with her offender. Uzumaki won all these 5 games in a row. Those gathered didn't care that the lesson was going on for like 10 minutes. The director, Sarutobi Hiruzen, entered the dining room and saw a huge crowd. What's going on here? He asked, approaching the source of such a crowd. Naruko glanced at the director. We're sorting things out here, Sarutobi-san. And it looks like I won again, Naruko smiled, holding 4 aces. Do you know that the lesson has already started? Asked the director. About. Play with me, Uzumaki smiled excitedly, from behind Sakura slapped herself on the forehead, if I win, then today you will dismiss everyone who has lessons, And no one will assign homework to the 10th grade and no tests. Well, let it be for 2 weeks. Do you agree? What if I win? Hiruzen asked. Whatever, Naruko waved her hand. Naruko, do you know that no one has ever won our director? Sasuke whispered to the girl, she only smiled mysteriously. I agree, Sarutobi nodded and sat down at the table. Uzumaki dealt out the cards. In 5 minutes. I won. Naruko jumped with happiness, and with her the others. Don't forget about our agreement, Sarutobi-san. Okay, everyone is free. I'll tell the teachers everything, the director nodded and left. Naruko. You are a miracle. Suigetsu exclaimed. Naruko walked proudly past the others, listening to her praise. Today was a great day. Uzumaki stood out from the crowd again. Naruko, as always, woke up in an even better mood than usual. Yesterday she got to know her classmates better. Yes, it's interesting with them, but you also need to know when to stop. The girl lazily trudged into the bathroom. After brushing her teeth and washing her face, she returned to the room to change clothes. In general, Naruko never really bothered when choosing clothes. What is there to think? I put on jeans, a jacket or a t-shirt and that's it. Uzumaki basically did just that. She wore dark blue jeans and a white t-shirt with lemon slices. I took my briefcase so as not to return to the room later. As usual, the kitchen smelled of scrambled eggs and fried sausages that Naruko herself had prepared. Itachi taught her to cook. Previously, Uzumaki ate exclusively ramen, but health cannot be built on instant soup. While Naruko was having breakfast, she thought, what should I do for today? In general, I behave badly only in a few lessons, the first ones, and then I sit quietly. What if I stand out in every class? Good idea. I will do so. After breakfast, Naruko went to school. Entering the classroom, she saw Sasuke, who was surrounded by girls. You can immediately guess from his face that he doesn't really want such company. Uzumaki looked around. Sakura and Suigetsu were not there yet. Strange, they always came early, the girl thought. Naruko walked up to the desk, but apparently no one noticed her. Can I take my seat? Uzumaki asked, but the result was the same. They didn't pay attention to the blonde. This pissed her off. Hey! Let me pass! Naruko screamed. Now they noticed her and moved away. Fie, Naruko, you're like a man-woman, you're a girl, so behave appropriately, Ino said. So what if I'm a girl? What should I do now, shit on dandelions? Naruko asked, sitting down next to Sasuke. The latter burst into his fist. How do you express yourself? Yamanako gasped, be at least a little feminine. Fine. But be careful not to regret your words. I'll just be feminine tomorrow. Today I'll have to do some things, don't you agree? Naruko asked, holding out her hand to argue. I agree, Ino nodded and extended her hand in the same way. Sasuke, break it, Uzumaki turned to the guy, he complied with the request, and Yamanako and her friends left. You're in trouble again, Naruko, Sasuke said, resting his cheek with one hand and looking at the girl. She, in turn, grinned and crossed her arms over her chest. I don't really care. Oh, I seem to have made an enemy for myself, the girl thought, but the next second she smiled excitedly, but it's also more fun. This girl is simply amazing. She angered someone who shouldn't be angered, and Naruko smiles. Well, what a man, thought Sasuke. Hey. That's what I wanted. I decided to help you leave the boys' circle. Naruko smiled with all 32 teeth. Yes? The guy was surprised, and how? Oh ho ho ho. Naruko laughed, then took something out of her bag and began to speak quietly so that only Sasuke could hear her. Look, I brought shampoo, in which I poured yogurt, and a powder box with powdered sugar in it. And then you understood it yourself, I can see it in your face. The perfect crime, Sasuke chuckled. P.F. did you doubt it? By the way, where are Sakura and Suigetsu? Naruko asked. Yesterday they had a good walk in the rain. Romantics, damn it, answered the Uchiha. Yes, it rained last night. Zal, Naruko stretched out and looked at the clock. Oh, there's a call in 5 minutes. I always wanted to ask, do you do DZ or not? Sasuke asked. Every other time, Naruko answered, rocking on the chair with her eyes closed. And why do I need this? They don't give marks for this anyway. What do you want to become in the future? The guy asked another question. I decided this question a long time ago. I want to become a surgeon like my parents. And you? Naruko asked, opening her eyes and looking at Sasuke. To be honest, I haven't decided. Maybe some kind of programmer. I'm good with computers, the Uchiha answered. Ah, Naruko stretched out and the bell rang. The first lesson was economics, which is still a boring subject, but Naruko and Sasuke have an ace up their sleeves. After about 20 minutes, the couple decided to show their cards. Uzumaki deliberately began to rummage around in her bag with noise, so that everyone would pay attention to her. Soon Uzumaki took out a box of powder. Uzumaki, what is this? The teacher asked the girl. Oh, this is my breakfast. I just haven't eaten anything since this morning, Naruko answered and began to eat the contents of the box. The face of the teacher, like his classmates, was filled with silent shock. Oh my god, Naruko! Don't go too heavy on the powder. You better drink it up, otherwise you'll get heartburn, Sasuke said and handed the girl a bottle of shampoo. Oh, thank you, Sasuke. Help yourself too, the girl handed the box to the guy. It took about 10 minutes for everyone to come to their senses, while Naruko and Sasuke ate what everyone thought was powder and drank shampoo. Sensei, would you like to treat yourself too? Uzumaki asked. Both of you, put the diaries on my table. The teacher shouted. The couple looked at each other, but did not argue and took the object to the teacher. Now in their diaries there was an entry, I ate powder and shampoo in class, and a signature. One lesson is protected. Naruko rejoiced to herself. So the bell rang. During the break, the whole school knew what Naruko and Sasuke had done. Some immediately guessed that it was a joke, while others were still in shock. The culprits themselves were already thinking of doing more. Sasuke seemed to get the hang of it. The next lesson was biology. The students sat down and the teacher entered the classroom. And so, kids, today we will study the structure of the woodpecker. The teacher announced the topic. As you know, the woodpecker is called the doctor of the forest, right, Uzumaki? Naruko-sensei asked, seeing her raise her hand. Teacher, do you have a woodpecker dummy? It's also much more convenient to explain, Naruko said. You're right, I'll bring it now, the man answered, getting up. What are you planning? Sasuke asked the girl. She answered. Plans are changing, now our woodpecker will fly. Improvisation is clearly your strong point, the Uchiha smiled, at which time the teacher entered the class again, only with a woodpecker dummy in his hands. Here, the teacher solemnly raised the woodpecker. Here, look and pass it on to the next ones. The students sitting near the door began to examine the woodpecker, then passed the woodpecker on. The teacher all this time talked about this bird. Soon it was Naruko and Sasuke's turn. God! Uzumaki exclaimed and quietly winked at the Uchiha. The teacher looked at the girl in surprise. What is it, Naruko? Just look. Poor bird. They made a stuffed animal out of it, although this woodpecker could fly carefree in the wild. Naruko buried her face in Sasuke's shoulder and pretended to be crying. The guy stroked Uzumaki's back approvingly. Yes, she is a master. The teacher actually believed that Naruko was crying. Thought the Uchiha. You Uzumaki, don't cry, please, the teacher said in confusion. Well, if you want, keep it for yourself. Can I release him? Naruko asked. What? Sensei looked questioningly at the girl. What? No. But it was already too late. Naruko opened the window and, shouting, "Fly, birdie," threw out the poor woodpecker. Everyone laughed. Uzumaki, Uchiha. Diaries on the table. The teacher shouted. Why me? Asked Sasuke. For complicity, answered the sensei. Now there were 2 entries in their diaries. I threw an artificial woodpecker with a cry, "Fly, bird." From the window of the biology classroom, I helped Naruko Uzumaki throw an artificial woodpecker from the window of the biology classroom. The 3rd lesson was fine arts, fine arts. They drew a full-length portrait of their desk neighbor. And then a couple stood out. Naruko asked Sasuke to undress for a portrait. The guy without further ado began to fulfill his friend's request, but they were kicked out of the class. This was the 3rd entry in their diaries, forced Sasuke Uchiha to undress for a full-length portrait and undressed at the request of Naruko Uzumaki for a full-length portrait. 4th entry, during a break in the cafeteria, Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha/Naruko had a spoon fight, using the trays as a shield. Signature of the class teacher. In the 4th lesson, we threw airplanes at our classmates. And again, the 5th entry in the diary. The 5th lesson was geometry, taught by Kakashi. Entering the classroom, he noticed Naruko and Sasuke, who were sleeping leaning on each other. Sensei, can I wake them up? Ino asked, unhappy that Naruko had Sasuke's attention for the entire day. But what infuriated Yamanako the most was that the guy liked such company. It's not worth it, Kakashi grinned. They had a busy day, let them sleep. You have physical education after my lesson, right? The students nodded. Well, there you go. I'll write down a note to these 2, they don't care anymore. 6th remark, I behaved badly all day, acted up, then, apparently tired, we fell asleep in geometry class. During gym class, Sasuke and Naruko were a little sleepy, but happy with themselves. Sasuke, do you have abs on your stomach? Naruko asked, without any embarrassment. Yes, answered the Uchiha, show me? Come on, the girl agreed. The guy lifted his t-shirt, and delighted sighs were heard from the girls. Naruko whistled, whoa. I also have a. The truth is they are not very visible like yours, look. What? Before Sasuke had time to react, the girl also lifted her t-shirt. Naruko's abs were actually visible on his stomach. Are you jiggling? A little. I go to wrestling 3 times a week, and here are the results, Uzumaki answered. Suddenly, a crowd of guys demolished the Uchiha. Naruko, can I touch it? A question was heard. Okay, just don't press too hard, the girl agreed. Woo-woo. The guys lit up. Suddenly, from this whole picture, Sasuke felt a pang in the heart area. He wanted Naruko to immediately lower her t-shirt so Sasuke could take her away from these glances. But he stopped himself in time. The teacher came into the hall and made another remark, the last for today. I was showing off the 6-pack on my stomach. After classes, Naruko and Sasuke went home, as it turned out they live on the same side. I suppose your parents will scold you? Naruko asked. No, they will not do. They are on a business trip for a month. Maybe just my brother will scold him a little and that's it, Sasuke waved him off. What about you? Eh? No, they won't, Naruko stuttered and became a little sad, but then, quickly smiling, she continued, they're already used to it. But now no one will call you a good boy. That's for sure, Sasuke agreed. Okay, I'll go there. Bye Naruko, see you tomorrow. Bye, Naruko waved her hand and left. It's strange why Naruko hesitated when talking about her parents. Maybe something happened? Did you have a big fight? Thought Sasuke. My parents will never scold me for anything again, Naruko thought, holding back tears. POV Naruko. I woke up in a pretty good mood. Yesterday Sasuke and I had a blast, it's a pity that Sakura and Suigetsu weren't with us. But never mind, next time. I wonder if Itachi-san swore at Sasuke a lot. I think it's not very good, but I liked it. Yesterday Itachi called me, which means he already saw what was in Sasuke's diary and guessed that I had something similar, and he also guessed that I was the initiator of all this. Itachi lectured me for 2 hours, during which time I managed to prepare dinner, eat it, wash the dishes, and tidy up the room a little. After a lecture on good behavior, Itachi asked me if I would do this again. I, as always, said that I would behave well in the future, while inventing new dirty tricks. Okay. Let's return to reality. Getting out of bed, it dawned on me, I had an argument with Ino. Oh ho ho ho. Today will be fun. Femininity? Huh, she thinks I don't know what it is? Baba is a man. How rough. I'll show you again, or I'm not Naruko Uzumaki. And in general, it's a no-brainer that Ino wanted to show off in front of Sasuke. Everyone says she's obsessed with him. Apparently, he was jealous of me. Huh. Funny. Sasuke is my friend, nothing more. I agree, Uchiha is handsome, and his body is good, but he is a friend, and that's the point. And to be honest, I don't want a relationship, at least right now. I got carried away again. I went to the bathroom to do some water treatments. Afterwards, still in pajamas, I went to breakfast. After eating, I went into the room and climbed into the closet to get the things I needed. So, what, Ino? The time has come to show you my aristocratic blood. Muhahaha. End of Naruko's POV. POV Sasuke. I woke up in a good mood. Yesterday I showed my diary to Itachi. You should have seen how his facial expression changes. At first it was calm, but then it acquired an incomprehensible and shocked look, and then generally some kind of frightening one. And then it didn't become scary, just like in the morning, when they promised to kill me if I got hysterical again. But Itachi grabbed his phone from the table and went to his room. I heard him lecturing someone, poor man. But soon the same fate befell me. I endured it like a real man. Well, how I endured it, I didn't listen to Itachi, but thought about Nar. In general, it doesn't matter who I was thinking about. Itachi left my room, grumbling something about how no one listens to him, but he promised Mom and Dad not to say anything. Thanks to him for this. I went to the bathroom and while brushing my teeth, I remembered. Naruko argued with Ino. Oh, I'm kind of afraid for Yamanako. There is no need to worry about Uzumaki. It's Naruko. If something happens to her, the offender himself will regret that he approached this crazy blonde. After breakfast, I went to school. Entering the classroom, the first thing that caught your eye was the brightly dressed Ino. She was confident of her victory, although if you look closely, you can see her eye barely trembling. For some reason I wasn't surprised. Naruko is the most unpredictable person in the world. Who knows what will come to her mind this time. I went to my desk. Ino, noticing me, immediately perked up and rushed towards me. God, how infuriating this is. Sasuke-kun, Ino said, can I sit with you? I was surprised, but didn't show it, and in general, with what joy she should sit with me. No. Naruko is sitting with me, I answered. But she's not there. And it looks like Uzumaki won't come. Apparently she was scared. Yamanako giggled somehow disgustingly. You don't know me well, Ino, a voice came from behind. The frightened girl turned around, and I already guessed who it could be. Can I go to my place, please? Ino looked at Naruko with wide eyes, as did the rest of the class, including me. Naruko looked gorgeous. A little tinted eyelashes and lips, a little eyeliner under the eyes or what it is, I don't understand it, but I can tell that Naruko doesn't have a ton of makeup on her face like Ino does. The girl was dressed in. Since I can't describe it properly, here's a photo https://vk.com/photo239525933456239599. The only correction, Naruko's bag was a briefcase. The boys sighed in admiration, and the girls gritted their teeth. I didn't notice before that Naruko was short. I was definitely a head taller than her, and Ino also towered over Uzumaki. Oh, Naruko, and you turn out to be a girl, Ino quipped, and anyway, today I'm sitting with Sasuke. I have to refuse you, since this is my desk, Naruko said calmly. At the moment she somehow reminds me of Itachi. It doesn't say here that this is your desk, Yamanako continued to pursue her party policy, and anyway, why did you dress up like that and since when did you start talking politely? You decided to show off in front of Sasuke? It's too bad you don't remember, Ino. Let me refresh your memory. You and I had an argument yesterday. You said that I'm sorry, a woman man. It was quite rude of you, and something else told me that I expressed myself poorly, Naruko said, still remaining calm. She had nerves, like Itachi. That one is also Mr. Equanimity. Meanwhile, the girl continued, but let me disappoint you again, this desk is signed and stamped. Will you deign to look or will you take my word for it? Then, catching Ino's disbelieving look, Naruko pointed her graceful finger at the inscription, which was barely visible. This desk belongs to Uzumaki Naruko, and, a seal? Here, you saw and, I hope, made sure that this desk belongs to me, Naruko said. As for Sasuke, he is my friend. These words gave me an unpleasant tingle in my chest. Meanwhile Naruko continued, but no matter how much you like him, I don't want you to date him. You are hypocritical and worthless. Now I ask you to step aside. Ino. I would like to sit at my desk. Oh yes, Ino. I think you already realized that you lost the argument, but I will give you a head start. If you make me lose my calm, then you can take the victory for yourself, but if I win, then I ask you not to interfere with me and Sasuke anymore. And I also want to appeal to others. I ask you not to look at me as if I were some kind of beautiful toy on display. Thank you for your attention. Naruko finished her speech and sat down at her desk. Naruko, what's wrong with you today? I asked the girl quietly. Yes, this Ino pissed me off, so I decided to put her in her place. I also heard how she laughed at Choji because of his excess weight, Naruko also quietly answered, but I didn't even know that she had one. Uzumaki turns out to be noble. Well, how did you decide to do this? I asked a question. Humiliate, but beautiful. Feminine, as she put it, Naruko smiled. Our conversation ended there, because the bell rang. During all lessons, Naruko sat quietly and diligently wrote everything. Even Kakashi was surprised and asked if she needed to go to the medical center. Paragraph. During recess, Yamanako tried to get Naruko out, but she didn't succeed. In general, Uzumaki herself communicated with everyone in an unusual way. She apologized, calmly objected and defended her point of view. She held her head high and smiled charmingly at everyone, not as always, not sincerely. I didn't like today's Naruko at all. I'm not used to seeing her so calm. Ino ended up losing the bet. Now she won't interfere with me and Uzumaki. But something doesn't tell me that this is not all. I'm sure Yamanako won't give up easily. She will slowly look for dirt on Naruko. Sorry for the girl. I mean Ino, Uzumaki is not a simple person, not at all. Well, today is Friday, which means it's the weekend. Oh, the first week of school has just passed, and there are so many memories. Let's see what will happen next. End of Sasuke's POV. Only 3 weeks have passed since the moment one girl unexpectedly burst into Sasuke's life and turned his world upside down. This girl's name is Naruko Uzumaki. She is smart, beautiful, and interesting to talk to. But recently Sasuke noticed that he had a not entirely friendly relationship with the girl. He wants to be more than just a friend for Naruko. But more on that later. If before Sakura, Suigetsu and Sasuke lived a quiet life, then with the advent of Naruko everything changed. Now these three have to keep an eye on their restless friend so that she doesn't get into some kind of trouble, which happened to Naruko every day. And Uzumaki, literally in a minute, can find adventures on his butt. Either he'll argue with someone, or he'll mess up there. Especially Uzumaki should not be allowed into the gym, because such trash starts there that children under 18 years old are better off not knowing, and this was said by a person who will only turn 15 next month. But, who cares about that? LOL. And it also happens that Kakashi-sensei himself joins Naruko, and then goodbye common sense. One day, Naruko was late for an algebra lesson taught by Kakashi. To the teacher's question, "Why are you late?" Naruko replied that she was lost on the road of life. Poor girl. The student then exclaimed, and he and the girl hid in a corner and began to have a heart-to-heart talk. Naruko always found a common language with absolutely any person, be it a serial killer or a pedophile rapist. Sakura, Suigetsu, and Sasuke became so close to Naruko that they felt like they knew her like crazy. But, God, how deeply they were mistaken. It was a normal school day. Break before the last lesson. Our four, consisting of Naruko, Sakura, Suigetsu, and Sasuke, were happily talking among themselves. Suddenly, Ino Yamanako approached them and called Naruko to go away and talk. The four looked at each other. Ino is Naruko's rival. She believes that there is something between Uzumaki and Uchiha. Therefore, Yamanako tries with all her might to break this connection, but nothing worked for her. Naruko stood up, smiled carefreely at her friends, and walked aside with Ino. "What do you think Ino wants from Naruko?" Sakura asked. "He'll probably threaten her with violence again," Suigetsu suggested. "Doesn't she understand that Naruko doesn't care at all? Just a dead number. Even if someone attacks Naruko, that someone will have to stay in the hospital for a long time," Sasuke said, rocking on his chair. "And are you talking about how Uzumaki knocked you down with one blow?" Suigetsu chuckled. "Oh, don't remind me. I admit, Naruko is very good at martial arts," Sasuke said indignantly. "Sasuke, do you like Naruko?" Sakura suddenly asked a question. Sasuke almost fell out of his chair, but kept his balance. "Is it really that noticeable?" the guy asked, a little embarrassed. "LOL, dude, did you think we wouldn't notice?" Suigetsu grinned. Sasuke looked at him with a murderous look. Sakura blossomed. "You will make a beautiful couple." "But Naruko only considers me a friend," Sasuke said. "Oh, then it's clear. Naruko keeps you in the friend zone," Hozuki chuckled again. "Oh, Sakura was annoying you at first too," Sasuke chuckled in response. "But we're still dating now," Suigetsu smiled and kissed his girlfriend on the cheek. She, accustomed to such antics, rolled her eyes. "You just annoyed me." "So I agreed. You're so stubborn, Sakuratsuke. Don't worry, Sasuke, I'm sure you'll date Naruko." "I'll arrange it," Haruno comforted her friend, sparkling her eyes and sarcastically rubbing her hands. "Sakura, I'm a little scared." Sasuke was not allowed to finish by the sound of a slap that echoed throughout the class. Everyone turned towards the sound and saw Naruko and Ino sitting on the floor with a red cheek. You don't need to be a psychic to understand what happened. Are you really sick? Your parents taught you that. Naruko herself did not let Ino finish. She grabbed Yamanako by the collar of her shirt and, shaking her off, growled. "I didn't care. If you say even one bad word towards Sakura and Suigetsu again, I will rip your tongue off. Have you heard me? Screw me all you want, I don't care. And also about Sasuke, I don't give a damn what you feel for him. He is my best friend, just like Sakura and Suigetsu. So shut up and don't go near them." Naruko let go of Ino, who fell to the floor again. Yamanako looked at the girl with eyes full of horror. Uzumaki turned around and walked out of the classroom. "Naruko." Sakura called the girl, but she, without paying attention, left, slamming the door. Haruno stood up and walked towards Ino. "What did you tell her?" Sakura asked angrily. "Nothing. She just said that she was worthless and Ino was not allowed to speak." "Oh you!" Sakura exclaimed. Suigetsu jumped up to the girl and tried to stop her so that she wouldn't hit Ino. "Let me in." Let me break her nose. Sakura, calm down. Trying to hold the girl, Hozuki exclaimed, Sasuke, help before she kills Yamanako. Sasuke was about to get up, but the bell rang and Sakura had to sit down. Only then did she notice that Naruko had left her things behind. Hey, Sasuke, hide Naruko's things before sensei comes, she whispered to the guy. He nodded and did what Sakura asked. Will you bring them to Naruko later? You seem to live on the same side, Suigetsu inquired. But I don't know where her house is, Sasuke answered. What? We thought you knew where she lives. Sakura and Suigetsu looked at each other. Listen, did Naruko tell you anything about her childhood or parents? Asked Sasuke. The couple shook their heads negatively. It turns out we don't know anything about Naruko. Kakashi entered the classroom and announced. There will be no English lesson, you can go home. Everyone cheered and began to gather. I'll ask Sasuke, Sakura, and Suigetsu to stay, the sensei added. The friends looked at each other. When everyone left, Kakashi closed the door and turned to the trio. Well, what happened here? I saw Naruko running away from school naked. It's getting cold outside, you know. What if she gets sick? Kakashi said somehow excitedly. Well. Long story short, she quarreled with Ino. Yamanako said something to Naruko, but she couldn't stand it and slapped Ino in the face. And then ran away. Look, I even left my things. Sakura explained the situation, realizing that there was no point in lying. That's how it is. Well, I hope you take Naruko's things to her house, the sensei sighed. The thing is, we don't know where she lives, Suigetsu said. Oh really? Okay. Sasuke, give Uzumaki Itachi's things, he knows where she lives, Kakashi replied. Eh? What does Itachi have to do with this? Sasuke inquired. Oh, Kakashi groaned, realizing what he said. Itachi himself will tell you everything if he considers it necessary. Sensei left, leaving his friends in bewilderment. Sasuke literally flew home, sincerely hoping that Itachi was home. He turned out to be right. His elder Uchiha was sitting in the kitchen, drinking tea, reading a newspaper. Sasuke noisily placed Naruko's things on the table and stared inquisitively at his brother. He, not understanding anything, asked. Sasuke, what happened? And whose things are these? These are Naruko Uzumaki's things. Do you know this one? The guy answered the question with a question. No, Itachi said and began reading the newspaper again. Kakashi-sensei let it slip to us that you know each other. And now I want to know the truth, Sasuke continued. Lord, you can't trust this man with anything, Itachi sighed and put the newspaper aside. Okay, listen to me and don't interrupt me. Ask all the questions later, understand? The man inquired and, having received an affirmative nod, began the story. Naruko's family and ours were very good friends. Naruko's mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki, and his father's name was Minato Namikaze. They were excellent surgeons and performed the most complex operations. They had their own clinic. They were noble people. People who did not have enough money for operations were given huge discounts, and the homeless were generally free. It was almost the same with our mother. Do you remember the time when your mother was very sick? Although I don't think you were 3 years old then. All the doctors said that she didn't have long to live, and the operation cost too much, and then we didn't even have money for food. When we approached Naruko's parents, they accepted my mother without further ado and literally saved her from death without taking any money. Then our families became very close. Despite the fact that Kushina and Minato received enough money, they did not live luxuriously. An ordinary one-story house, but with all the amenities, the only thing this family allowed themselves was a garden with a huge number of flowers and fruit trees, as well as sakura in front of the house. They lived happily, but one day something happened that turned Naruko's life into hell. Her mom and dad crashed in a car, and it was a murder. Competitors could not get around the Namake's clinic, so they decided to remove the enemies from the road. Naruko became an orphan and, naturally, she was taken to an orphanage. She was 5 then. At that time we left for another country for 3 years. And when they arrived, they found out about Naruko's parents. Then we decided to take the girl with us. But there were problems with documents, so we had to wait. I came to Naruko almost every day and brought something tasty. At first, she didn't trust me, but over time she got used to it and happily waited for me to visit. A little later I noticed beatings on her hands and face. Naruko said that she often falls. At first I believed. But with my arrival, bruises appeared more and more often. When I decided to have a serious conversation with Naruko, she admitted to me that they were beating her and taking away what I brought her, but she stubbornly hid it from everyone. Naruko was already 7 then. She had to go to school. Mom and Dad tried to collect all the necessary documents as quickly as possible. They soon succeeded, but when they came for Naruko, they were told that the girl ran away a week ago. Mom and Dad started looking for her. We found her on the same day. As it turned out, no one was looking for her. Naruko was at home. She cleaned the whole house, there was not a single speck of dust, and she ate only ramen all these days. We invited Naruko to come with us, but she refused. The only thing she asked was to teach her how to cook and help her with the garden. We agreed. Every day Mom or Dad came to her house to help here and there. Soon Naruko went to school. Because of her frail form, she was bullied there, but she still smiled brightly and did not complain. But I found out and we transferred Naruko to another school. She asked to sign her up for wrestling. I perfectly understood why she needed it. She wanted to protect the weak and herself. Naruko begged for a long time, but her mother finally agreed. Naruko studied at the second school until she was 10 years old, but she was expelled from there due to frequent fights. But it wasn't her fault, she was just defending herself. Naruko studied at the third school until she was 16. She was also expelled from there because of the same behavior. Well, I moved to your school. You see, after Naruko turned 10, she could already cook and take care of the garden that her mother loved so much. Naruko didn't even ask us for much. Plus, I studied well. This is very sad. Itachi finished the story. Sasuke simply had no words. He sat there in shock. Who would have thought that such a smiling person as Naruko could survive all this and not break? Even Sasuke himself couldn't. Did she know me? The guy asked, recovering from shock. Yes, I am a frequent visitor to Naruko. And he talked about you. I would have introduced you to her earlier, but Naruko asked me not to tell anyone anything. As she put it, she doesn't want to be pitted. Itachi smiled sadly. This is where you disappear so often. Uchiha Jr. exclaimed indignantly. Okay, we need to take things to Naruko. It's only about a 10-minute walk from our house to hers, Itachi said, getting up from his chair. Suddenly his phone rang. Oh, it's Naruko. Hello? Yeah. Itachi-san. Without even raising the phone to his ear, he suddenly heard the girl's screams. Naruko, what happened? Itachi asked excitedly. Sasuke also tensed. Itachi-san, come to me urgently. And grab the car, we're going to the hospital. Naruko squealed, and then beeps were heard. The brothers looked at each other and at the same time rushed off, grabbing the girl's things. Sasuke's heart sank painfully. What could have happened to her? Thought Sasuke, jumping into Itachi's car. Within 5 minutes, 2 Uchiha stood in the middle of the hall and with a stunned expression on their faces looked at the happy Naruko, who was holding a red fox cub in her hands. Naruko, who is this? Itachi asked stuttering. Meet Kurama. The girl exclaimed, now he will live with me. Itachi-san, I wanted to ask you to take me and Kurama to the vet. Where did you find him? Sasuke asked, still not over the shock. Well, when I came home, I was terribly cold. The window was open at home, apparently I forgot to close it when I left. I went to the bathroom, and from there, to my room. This miracle lay on my bed. He probably climbed through the window, Naruko said, petting her pet. Why did you decide that it was he? Itachi asked, having already calmed down. I'm still a future doctor. Am I really what you think? Naruko twirled her finger at her temple. I can't tell a woman from a man? Don't forget, Itachi-san, I'm an excellent student and I have brains. Oh, sorry, Uchiha Sr. said and smiled. Naruko, I brought you some things here. You left them at school, Sasuke said, handing the items to the girl. Oh, thank you, Sasuke, Naruko thanked and threw her things on the sofa, and then turned to Itachi, so what's wrong with the vet? Let's go, the man sighed. The girl smiled joyfully, put on a jacket and, not forgetting kurama, climbed into the back seat of the car. Sasuke decided to go with them. Naruko, I wanted to ask, Itachi said, driving the car, are you doing your homework or not? Of course not, the girl answered carefree, I only read oral, and then before the lesson. But if the paragraph is long, then I read half at home and the other at school. Sasuke burst into his fist. He had long realized that Uzumaki didn't do his homework. He was surprised how Naruko managed to read, memorize a paragraph and also talk with friends, and get the highest grade in class. Inexplicable, but the fact. Naruko, you promised me that you would do your homework in all subjects, Itachi sighed somehow tiredly. What for? Anyway, the grade is not included in the magazine, the girl said. Naruko, this is necessary in order to consolidate your knowledge. The Uchiha was indignant. Well, we'll have to check the lessons again. Again? Sasuke asked again, and then, chuckling, asked, Pfft. Naruko, was it really that Itachi checked your homework? Oh, the girl rolled her eyes, and what about yourself? Hey, Itachi-san, have you stopped doing homework with Sasuke yet? The guy choked on his own laughter and looked at the girl in shock. Where are you from? Itachi, did you tell her? The man just shook his head. What? Did he really do it? Naruko was surprised. Was it all that bad? Don't make such a surprised face, as if, suddenly it dawned on Sasuke, you were bluffing. Of course, but I learned such a secret, Uzumaki nodded, Itachi-san, and how long did you study lessons with him? Until the 6th grade. He just didn't want to teach them. I scared him with a homeless person, Itachi replied. Enough for you. Sasuke exclaimed. Naruko laughed out loud. Itachi just smiled and listened to the teenagers arguing and thought, this is the happiest day of my life. Shipper is happy. Soon the car stopped near the veterinary hospital. Naruko carefully grabbed Kurama, shouted for the Uchiha to wait for her and went into the building. The girl looked back. All with dogs, cats, parrots and similar animals, and Uzumaki with a red fox. Oh yes, Naruko feels her own individuality. Who is last? The girl asked smiling. I, answered the guy with the turtle. Naruko looked closer and recognized her classmate, Gaara. Oh, Naruko. Apparently the guy also recognized the girl. Uzumaki walked up to Gaara and sat down next to him. What a cute turtle. The name of? Naruko asked. Shikaku, Gaara answered briefly, and who do you have? I have a little fox, the girl said happily, Kurama. Fox? The guy was surprised and looked at the girl's belly, cool. Where did you find it? Well, he climbed through the window. I haven't closed it, meaning the window, since this morning, Naruko explained. Doesn't it bother you that it's noticeably cold outside, and you open the windows in the house? Gaara never ceased to be surprised. Nope, it doesn't bother me. Every day in the morning I open windows everywhere, Naruko answered, and in general, we're having a bit of a strange conversation. About windows. We're all a little strange, the guy shrugged. Aren't you afraid that the fox will bite you? No. I can say I saved his life. Kurama's paw was injured, and I washed it and bandaged it. She also fed and gave her something to drink. The little fox was completely exhausted, the girl said, and he seemed to like me. I stroke him, and when they stop, Kurama looks at me somehow pitifully, apparently asking for more affection. And he stayed with me, well, maybe 2 hours or less. He quickly got used to me. And so Gaara and Naruko talked until the guy's turn came. Later, he came out and said goodbye to the girl, who in turn went into the office. The doctor told Uzumaki that the fox cub was healthy and did not carry any infection, but they still gave him a rabies injection. As for the paw, it's just not a big cut that will heal in just a couple of days. Soon Naruko left the hospital. Itachi and Sasuke were waiting for her. The elder Uchiha took the girl home, telling her to do her homework, and went home with his brother. The clock showed exactly 1800 hours. Naruko fed her new friend and with a heavy heart went to do her homework, because she knew that Itachi would blow her mind with his lectures. Uzumaki guessed that the man told Sasuke about her past. And it was high time to tell Sakura, Suigetsu, and Sasuke himself about this. Still, they proved that they are always on the same side with her. Yes, tomorrow Naruko will describe her life in detail to her friends in some cafe. Tomorrow is Friday anyway. Sasuke lay on the bed and thought. I thought about Naruko. How can a girl with such a story continue to smile so sincerely? He, Sasuke, would have broken down long ago, and she. Itachi entered the room. Why? Sasuke asked a question. What is the why? Itachi asked confused. Naruko has been through so much, but she still smiles. I would have withdrawn into myself a long time ago. On the contrary, she's so sociable, the guy said. Oh, Sasuke, have you fallen in love with Naruko? Itachi asked. The younger Uchiha choked on air. Why did you get it? Sasuke exclaimed. I just asked, Itachi shrugged. I also asked Naruko the same question once. Why do you always smile even when you are in pain? To which she replied, I have someone to live for. At least for you, Itachi-san, if I'm not there, you'll be sad. She answered so simply and with a steadfast smile. I just came in, did you do your homework? Yes, Sasuke answered, continuing to look at the ceiling. Itachi left. She's strange, Naruko Uzumaki, the guy thought and smiled. Naruko woke up due to someone pushing her in the side. Opening her eyes, the girl saw Kurama. Smiling, she petted her pet and stood up, going straight to the bath. Naruko decided for herself that today she would definitely tell Sakura and Suigetsu about her parents and childhood in some cafe. It's Friday anyway. And in general, they proved that they will always be on the girl's side. In such a short time, Naruko truly found true friends whom she had never had. Just yesterday, Uzumaki guessed that Itachi told Sasuke everything. According to the elder Uchiha himself, after Naruko ran home, the English lesson was cancelled and Kakashi blabbed to Sakura, Suigetsu, and Sasuke that Itachi knew Uzumaki. So the man had to take the rap. In general, Kakashi was a close friend of Naruko's parents, and sometimes he also drops by to visit the girl. Hatake used to give individual lessons to the young Uzumaki, because she didn't want to study. So Itachi had to ask, so that he would keep an eye on the progress of the restless girl. This is how we lived. But let's return to our young lady, who has already changed clothes and is having breakfast with ramen, and next to her Kurama is eating meat. After all, he is a fox, a wild animal after all. Naruko always came to school at the same time, exactly at 8:20, not a minute less or more. It was the same today. Before the girl had time to enter the classroom, Sakura flew at her with questions. Haruna was babbling something quickly, not allowing Uzumaki to insert a word. Sakura, listen to me already. Naruko exclaimed, unable to bear it. Today I, you, Suigetsu, and Sasuke are going to a cafe, and there I will tell you everything that interests you, okay? I agree, Haruna nodded her head and the girls went to their desks. Suigetsu was sitting at the table and typing something on his phone, then looking up from the screen and said, I just texted Sasuke. He said that he would come earlier today and was already about. The guy was prevented from finishing his sentence by the screeching of hyenas, as Naruko put it. It's not hard to understand that Sasuke has come. Naruko always found it amusing to watch the guy try to break through this herd to get to his friends. Uzumaki herself saved him from being torn to pieces. She, shouting, Sasuke, give you spray against mosquitoes and midges, took out a real insect repellent. The Uchiha just grinned and nodded his head in agreement, and the girls, offended, left. And then the guy could calmly walk to his desk. Sasuke, you're too popular, Naruko laughed. Oh, no less, I won't watch it all the time surrounded by guys, the guy rolled his eyes. Yes, many, if not all, want to meet with you, said Sakura. Where did you get the idea? Naruko looked at the girl in surprise. I've heard about this many times. And half the school thinks that you and Sasuke are dating, Haruno answered. That's how it is, Uzumaki shook her head, where did they get that from? Well, if I weren't friends with you, I would think so too. You don't leave each other, Suigetsu laughed. Naruko, have you noticed that for the second day you haven't done anything, Sasuke is stopping you? I'm up for anything, honestly. Only it's not Sasuke who's stopping me, but Itachi-san, Uzumaki answered. How do you know Sasuke's brother? Asked Suigetsu. Oh, you still need to tell me. Today we are going to a cafe and there I will tell you everything in detail, the girl answered. Listen, Naruko, do you love Sasuke? Sakura asked thoughtfully. Haruno, the Uchiha hissed when he heard the girl's question. I would have answered the question if someone hadn't been listening, right, Ino? Uzumaki glared angrily, was yesterday not enough for you? So let me add, Naruko stood up, cracking her knuckles. How long have you been standing there? Sakura asked, also warming up. No, Yamanaka waved her hands and, backing away, crashed into the desk. I came when I heard the words Sasuke and love. I didn't hear anything else, honestly. Ino, life doesn't teach you anything. Sakura has been wanting to break your nose for a long time, and Naruko doesn't mind ruining your face, Suigetsu grinned. That's it, I'm leaving, Yamanaka nodded her head and left. The bell rang. After the lesson, Naruko noticed that Ino began to follow her. At first, Uzumaki pretended not to notice the surveillance. And the young tracker continued the hunt for the victim. This was starting to piss Naruko off. She couldn't even discuss yesterday's football match with the guys. This continued until the penultimate lesson, because before the sixth lesson the victim could not restrain himself. Holy unicorns! Ino Yamanaka, what do you want from me? Naruko screamed, or was yesterday not enough for you? So let me at it. It's all because of Sasuke. Ino shouted back. What do I have to do with it? The Uchiha was surprised. Yes, because she, Yamanaka pointed her finger at Uzumaki, turning to Sasuke, has her eye on you. Ah well. Naruko was indignant and went up to the guy, whispering to him, play along with me, and kissed him in front of everyone. Everyone is in shock. Everyone is still in shock. Even now everyone is in shock. Sasuke, will you date me? Naruko asked loudly, breaking away from the Uchiha. Why yes, the guy answered, being in deep, very deep shock. That is great. Uzumaki said and proudly walked to her desk. In 5 minutes. Sasuke, forgive me. The culprit of the small incident almost cried when she cooled down her ardor a little, but as they say, the word is not a sparrow, if you fly you won't catch it. I didn't want to, honestly. I just got mad, that's it. Forgive me, please. Well, Naruko, calm down. I'm not mad at you, the guy answered, calming down his girlfriend. Sakura and Suigetsu openly laughed at this situation. Oh, come on. Walk hand in hand for a week or two and you'll part just as loudly, Sakura said, wiping away tears of laughter. And even more so, they got rid of their admirers, and most importantly, Yamanako, said Suigetsu, still giggling. Please shut up, Sasuke said, more commanding than asking, still stroking Naruko's back soothingly. The bell rang for class. The teacher, that is, Kakashi, entered the class. Without further ado, he walked up to the desk where Naruko and Sasuke were sitting and hugged them. Everyone is in shock again, and behind them Sakura and Suigetsu are trying to hold back the laughter that was bursting out. God, I'm so happy. So happy. Finally, you realized your feelings and are now together. I'm so happy. Kakashi was happy. Thank you. And, Kakashi-sensei, how do you know that Naruko paused a little, that we are dating? The whole school knows, the teacher answered, looking away from the students. In honor of this holiday, I will let you go home. Everybody's free. Joyful voices were heard, because for the second day they were being released from their last lesson. The four of us got ready and went to a cafe opposite the school. Entering the room, the friends looked around and sat down at a free table near the window, ordering themselves a cup of tea. Well, Naruko, we are listening, what did you want to tell us? Sakura asked, resting her cheek on one hand and looking at her friend. Uzumaki sighed and, putting the cup of liquid on the table, told in detail about her parents and how the girl lived after their death. After the story, Sakura attacked her friend with hugs. Wow, Naruko, it was so hard for you, Haruno almost cried. Sakura, you're going to strangle me, Uzumaki croaked. The pink-haired girl let go of her friend, but still held her hand encouragingly. That's how it is. Now I understand why you are so violent. Are you hiding your real feelings? Suigetsu asked, to which he received an uncertain nod. What do you live on? Knowing your character, you won't ask my mom or dad for money, Sasuke asked, for which he received a hit on the head from Sakura. Sasuke, how tactless you are. Naruko, one might say, opens his soul to us here, and you're talking about money. The girl was indignant. Yes, Itachi told me everything yesterday, Sasuke responded indignantly, rubbing his head. That's why keep quiet. Haruno snapped. Quiet. Naruko, it turns out that you are not only physically, but also mentally resilient, Suigetsu praised the girl. As I understand it, no one knows anything about you except us and my family? Asked Sasuke. And my brother, Naruko smiled. Brother? The trio exclaimed and stared at the Uzumaki. His name is Naruto Uzumaki, and he is 21 years old, Naruko smiled. Oh, like Itachi, Sasuke remarked, for which Sakura again hit him on the head so that he would not interrupt. And Naruto is married to Hinata Hyugo. Well, already Uzumaki, Naruko continued, Naruto transfers me about 50,000 every month. What does your brother do, since he earns that kind of money? Sasuke interrupted the girl again. Uchiha. Sakura and Suigetsu simultaneously shouted at the guy. He works as a surgeon, just like our parents did. Mom and Dad wrote in their will that they were leaving us a house and a clinic, so it happened that way, Naruko continued. Where is your brother? You live alone, don't you? Sakura asked. He had to leave, because he continued the work of his parents. There have already been attempts on his life 3 times, so Naruto had to leave for another country. He didn't take me because I moved frequently and was afraid that they would find out about me. After all, not everyone knows that Naruto has a sister, Naruko said. That's how it is, Suigetsu drawled, so you also want to become a surgeon? Yeah, the girl nodded. I want to visit you, said Sakura. Okay. Tomorrow you can all come, Naruko agreed, Sasuke knows where I live. Okay, let's go home. But today is Friday. Let's go hang out, Suigetsu said. I can't, I need to feed Kurama, Uzumaki refused. Whom? Sakura asked. You'll find out, Naruko winked and, throwing money for tea and tips on the table, she left, leaving her 3 friends. After 5 minutes of silence, Suigetsu asked. What time should I arrive? Now Naruko is sitting in another boring lesson, ethics. What a vile word. Uzumaki rarely used the rules of decency. Why did these rules give in to me? I'm not your princess, the girl always said. And, you were probably wondering how friends went to visit Naruko? It was fun. And if you take into account the broken table, the broken door, someone's family books hanging on the chandelier, and the fact that Sakura woke up in the bathroom, Suigetsu under the sofa, and Sasuke with his head in the salad, then it was, well, a lot of fun. And where, exactly, did it all start? The answer is simple. Hozuki brought alcohol with the words, "We are already 16, and we haven't drunk properly yet." Where the guy got the sake from, the friends didn't ask. Naruko, like a decent person, did not drink, because I am for a healthy lifestyle. Healthy lifestyle, the girl screamed with all the cells of her body, but in fact, she wanted to acquire dirt on her friends, which she actually succeeded in doing. So the friends, having already drunk a fair amount, were playing spin the bottle. Sasuke and Suigetsu kiss. No, not on the cheek, on the lips, yes, yaoi. But Sakura spanks Hozuki's butt for the action described above. The Uchiha is dancing a striptease. Now it's clear why the table is broken and whose family members are on the chandelier. There is also a video where Suigetsu hits his head on the door. Now the secret has been revealed as to why the unfortunate wooden object was knocked out. And much, much more, as well as why the Merry Trinity woke up in an unusual place for them. As a prudent person, Naruko knew that her friends would ask her to erase embarrassing situations from her phone, so while the drunkards were sleeping, the girl threw the contents onto the laptop and set a password that the best hacker in the world would not be able to figure out. But knowing her friends, Naruko decided to put it on a flash drive and hid the item in a small secret place. Like a real housewife, the girl took care of her friends and lovingly provided them with water and headache pills, as well as fed them breakfast. Uzumaki was right about the photos and videos. A girl with friends deleted all the contents from her phone, but we know her secret. After that, Sakura and Naruko cleaned up while Suigetsu and Sasuke repaired the door. The latter spent about half an hour trying to get his family pants. By the way, testicles and underpants are 2 different things. Family pants are longer and looser than underpants. And don't ask me where I know this from. The Uchiha swore to pay for the broken table and buy a new one, just like it was. But let's return to Naruko, who is sitting in ethics class. She is bored. So boring. Itachi forbade poor Uzumaki to do anything, but to sit quietly and listen to the teacher. Well, as a last resort, just sit and not interfere with others' learning. What's stopping a girl from disobeying? So Itachi himself, he said that if Uzumaki behaves badly, then he will come to Naruko every day and do his homework, and this will be a disaster for the girl, because Uzumaki never did them, the lessons, at home. Unexpectedly, Kakashi enters the classroom, apologizes for barging in so brazenly, and loudly announces to the students, "We have new kids." Well, what if you are not family? It was the teacher who addressed the students who were standing near the door. "Come in, don't be shy." "Hello. My name is Kurashido too, I'm 16, the first one smiled. "I'm Ayato Ken, also 16 years old," the other one also introduced himself smilingly. In the author's commentary there will be photographs of what the guys look like, because describing appearance is not my thing. They started whispering in the class. You could hear something like, "Wow, how cute," or "God, I want him as a guy," said the males. Just kidding, the girls were talking. The new students themselves looked around the class with an appraising glance and stopped at Naruko, then glanced slyly at each other. "Well, sit down in the empty seats and open the textbook on page 32, said the teacher, but Kakashi waved his hand and left. After the lesson, the new students were surrounded by girls from all sides. Naruko was one of them. She loves making new acquaintances in life. Since the blonde is the shortest in the class, she had to resort to cunning, no matter how her friends stopped her. Uzumaki managed to jump from one desk to another right in front of Ayato and Kurashito. You should have seen the shocked faces of the guys and classmates. Naruko smiled calmly, sat down on the desk in front of the new students and introduced herself. Hello. My name is Naruko Uzumaki. Nice to meet you. She then held out her hands to shake. Naruko, do you have a boyfriend? Ayato asked, looking slyly at the girl. From experience, he knew that such questions drive absolutely any girl into blush. But Naruko, she wouldn't be Naruko if she was embarrassed. Eat. Yet Uzumaki remembers that he is dating Sasuke. Oh, Kurashito drawled, and who is this lucky guy? More like a poor fellow, someone from the crowd burst out. His name is Sasuke Uchiha, Naruko answered, not paying attention to the remark. Sasuke. Come here. Uzumaki waved her hand cheerfully, calling the guy to her. He reluctantly stood up and approached the girl, hugging Uzumaki in principle. Still, Sasuke felt a pang of jealousy. Yes, he only recently realized that he liked Naruko, and then there were some guys looking at her lustfully. Sasuke, aren't you afraid that the beauty will be taken away? Asked Ken. Such a surname, as if he were the boyfriend of a Barbie doll. Girls will understand. I'm not afraid, the Uchiha answered brazenly. Moreover, Naruko has friends who will talk some sense into her. That's how it is. Naruko, can you introduce me to your friends? Kurashito inquired. I'll introduce you. And soon you will find out what I really am. Naruko smiled slyly and, jumping from her desk, went to her place. And Sasuke and the two newcomers were left throwing lightning at each other. They already understood. The battle for Naruko has begun. After meeting Ayato and Kurashito, Naruko sat down in her place smiling strangely. Naruko, what are you doing? Sakura asked, seeing her friend's strange behavior. Sasuke likes me, the girl said, watching the guy and the new guys throw lightning at each other and argue about something. No, not even like that. The Uchiha loves me. Where are you from? Ahem, that is, why did you decide? Decided not to betray his friend to Suigetsu. You can see it in his behavior, Naruko answered. Take a closer look. Yes, Sasuke is ready to tear apart anyone who comes near me. How long ago did you notice this? Sakura sighed, already realizing that Naruko was right. Lately, all the Uchiha has done is not leave Uzumaki's side and glare at those who dared to just come up to say hello to the girl. Not so long ago, Naruko shrugged, and to be honest, on the weekend when you were visiting me. As it turned out, alcohol loosens the tongue of the gloomy Uchiha. Sasuke didn't say directly, Naruko, I love you, but he did make noticeable hints. And did you really guess from these noticeable hints? Asked Suigetsu. Yeah, Uzumaki nodded her head. But they say that blondes are fools, Hozuki said dumbfounded, for which he received a hit on the head from Sakura so that he would not call him names. Naruko, do you like Sasuke? Haruno asked, turning her gaze to the girl. To me? The girl asked, and then putting her finger to her lips, she thought. A minute later an angry Sasuke returned. They pissed me off. He snorted, Naruko, are you okay, otherwise you're kind of red? The Uchiha asked worriedly, seeing his friend's reddened face, but we know that she's far from a friend, straight face. I'll be right back, Uzumaki muttered and, placing her palms on her reddened cheeks, ran away. Sakura and Suigetsu looked at each other conspiratorially, but Sasuke didn't notice. He just looked at the girl with concern. The bell rang for another lesson. The class was quite noisy, since the teacher had not arrived yet, nor had Naruko. Where is our unrestrained one? Asked Sasuke. Naruko left and hasn't returned yet. Sakura looked around the class worriedly, looking for blonde misfortune with her eyes, but all her attempts were in vain. Don't worry, Suigetsu waved his hand, she's clearly up to something. For how long Naruko has been sitting quietly, she's tired of being a good girl. How careless you are, Suigetsu, said Sakura. Apparently, I just know Naruko more than you know her, Hozuki replied. The physics teacher came into the classroom. In general, physics is a very interesting subject, but the teacher is boring and she will magically turn any interesting topic into a boring one. The teacher said hello and sat down at the table, opening the magazine and choosing who would go to the board to answer the homework. Suddenly something grabbed the teacher's leg and she screamed piercingly. The teacher also screamed out of fear, jumped back and fell from her chair. Looking under the table, she saw Naruko giggling. Exactly a second later, there was a real laugh from the girl and the teacher's cry. Uzumaki Naruko! You are coming with me to the director. And taking the laughing girl by the sleeve, she led her to the main thing. As soon as the door closed, Shikamaru's voice was heard. Oh my god, Naruko is back to her old ways again. Sasuke, did you at least keep an eye on her or something? And it interferes with sleep. What am I doing? I'm not her mom or dad, the Uchiha was indignant. And anyway, who sleeps in class? You're her boyfriend, Choji supported his friend, keep the Uzumaki in line. If only so that she wouldn't get into such troubles, and nodded towards the door from which Naruko was taken out. I apologize for interfering in your discussion, but what do you mean again? Kuroshido asked. Well, Kiba drawled, Naruko Uzumaki is the leader of our class. How long have you put up with her antics? Ayato inquired. She came to our class only this year, she's already made a mess, Temari sighed. Yes? And which ones? Ayato became interested. Well, on the first day when I first arrived. It was just the 1st of September, Naruko showed herself from the side of Miss Equanimity and made our bully blush with just one question, Shino began to tell, and the next day she drove her fan club with a stick and again the bully, Konkuro, got with the same stick to the head. On the same day, Naruko and the first graders went and sang a song about SpongeBob. And the next day I had a battle in the cafeteria, Kiba continued. Food or what? Kuroshido arched an eyebrow, how corny. No, not food. She played cards. Then the director came to the canteen and also played a game. Sarutobi lost, which had never happened before, and then we weren't given any assignments for 2 weeks and we didn't write any tests. On the 4th day, Naruko and Sasuke were completely burned out. We received a comment in each lesson. Then Uzumaki and Ino got into a fight. It wasn't that long ago. That Thursday. Yamanako still has a bruise, she covers it with foundation. Well, there were some other pranks. But the last few days I've been sitting quietly, Shino put in the word. And you also forgot to say that Naruko took down Sasuke in one move, Kankuro chuckled. Come on. Kuroshido exclaimed, ahahaha. What a fighter this Naruko is, Ayato grinned, I'll take it. Hey, doesn't it bother you that Sasuke is Naruko's boyfriend? Asked Sakura, who had been silent until that moment. Oops. Said Kuroshido, beauty, what is your name? Call me Sakura Haruno, the girl answered, but alas and ah. I've already been booked. This was done by the man sitting next to me, Suigetsu Hozuki. We have been dating for 2 years now. So don't shine anything on you. It's a pity, Kuroshido feigned a sigh, but we have Naruko, right, Ayato? I'm actually an Uzumaki guy. Doesn't this bother you? Asked Sasuke. Oh, Sasuke, you're the one squeaking. Sorry, I didn't notice you, Ayato chuckled. You're all telling me, the teacher who entered the classroom did not allow the Uchiha to finish and stand up. God, this is not a class, but some kind of tormentors. And how does Kakashi deal with them? The woman who came in muttered, and so, let's continue the lesson. Before the teacher had time to say anything, the bell rang from class and the students ran out of the classroom screaming. At recess a smiling Naruko arrived. Sakura immediately flew up to her, preventing the girl from entering the classroom. Naruko, were you scolded a lot? Haruno asked worriedly. Uzumaki just smiled wider and answered. They didn't even scold me. As soon as I entered the office with the teacher, she started yelling and complaining to Sarutobi about what I had done. The director was holding back his laughter, it was clear from it. And then he promised to talk to me. As soon as the physics teacher left, Sarutobi and I looked at each other and laughed. Having calmed down, he let me go, Naruko said. While you were away, Sasuke and the new guys were arguing about who would get the great Naruko Uzumaki. Suigetsu laughed, and look, they're still arguing, and pointed his hand towards the trio. Naruko chuckled and walked up to the guys. They only noticed her when the girl kissed Sasuke on the cheek. Uchiha you're so cute when you're jealous Naruko laughed. Then went up to Ayato and Kuroshido, sitting at their desk, hugged them around the neck. But for you guys, alas, nothing will happen. Why is this? You'll suddenly fall in love with me, Ayato played with his eyebrows. To which Naruko received a roaring laugh, she was clearly amused by this situation. Well, if you just stop chasing every skirt and when Sasuke leaves me, or I leave him. But this won't happen, Uzumaki said and went to her desk. The bell rang for class. Japanese language. Boredom. The teacher mumbles some rules under his breath. Behind my back, my classmates are whispering about the Great War for Naruko. The girl endured for about 15 minutes, but her nerves were not steel. Uzumaki jumped onto the table under dumbfounded looks. Uzumaki, what happened? Immediately get off the table and sit down. The teacher shouted. Yes, burn it all with a blue flame. Naruko exclaimed and opened the window. Uzumaki, what are you doing? The teacher exclaimed in fear. But the girl did not listen to him. Naruko screaming, yo, dogs. I'm Naruko Uzumaki, jumped from the second floor. Yes, the school is 2 floors. Everyone rushed to the window. A blonde stood below, smiling widely and waving goodbye. Sasuke, please bring me my things after class. Naruko shouted and went home. And she didn't care that she had 2 more lessons. At home, Naruko is waiting for kurama, hot chocolate and anime. Well, where would we be without anime? A week and a half had already passed since the appearance of Ayato and Kuroshido, and the war between Sasuke and them over Naruko continued. And this despite the fact that Uchiha and Uzumaki are now officially a couple. Flashback. It happened on Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the morning. In general, at this time all normal people are already asleep, especially during school hours. Ahahaha, funny. I go to bed at 4:30, regardless of whether it's school time or not, but Naruko is a little crazy in life. Therefore, Sasuke was not at all surprised when he heard noise and a girl's choice swearing outside the window of his room, which was on the 2nd floor. Naruko, Sasuke thought then, I wonder what she's doing here so late. As soon as the guy opened the curtains, he saw Naruko, who raised her hand to strike. Apparently she wanted to knock on the window, but with such force the girl would definitely have broken the glass, despite the fact that the glass is plastic. It's good that Sasuke arrived in time and let the amazing Spider-Man in. Good evening, Naruko greeted, curtsying. It's night now, the sleepy guy corrected the girl. Oh, I'm sorry. Good night, Naruko said and thought, no, it feels like I'm not saying hello to you, but rather saying goodbye. Then I'll say this, good day. Naruko, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, or to be precise, it's already 2:12. Sasuke tried to speak as calmly as possible, but the guy was already nervous. Besides, my parents and brother are sleeping at home. What did you want? Oh, well, I came to call you in love, Uzumaki answered without a drop of embarrassment or any ridicule. Sasuke woke up immediately. What? The guy asked stuttering. God, they say that blondes are stupid, Naruko sked and stamped her foot for greater effect. Sasuke's right eye twitched, I love you. Sasuke ate, but in his heart he had already danced the Macarena, the dance of little ducklings, ballet, and now he is spinning around his axis like a spinner and praising all the tomatoes in the world. Hey! What are you doing? Naruko waved her hand in front of the guy's face. Sorry, I just unexpectedly. Sasuke scratched his neck and looked away. You can see a faint blush on his face. Ah, I understand, Naruko said. Well, I'm going home, otherwise it's already late. It's almost 2:30. The girl went to the window and wanted to jump out, when the guy grabbed her by the sleeve of her jacket. Naruko, I love you too, Sasuke mumbled. I know, the girl smiled and, kissing the guy on the cheek, wishing him good night, jumped out. The Uchiha remained standing by the open window, looking after the girl, and then asked himself. How does she know that I like her? You just can't drink. You know how your tongue loosens, came an inner voice, with which the Uchiha instantly agreed. The next day, Sasuke came home sleepy but happy. And Naruko didn't come at all. Judging by the SMS she sent, Uzumaki stayed at home to get some sleep and instructed her real boyfriend to tell her friends everything. End flashback. Naruko had a bad day since the morning. First, the girl dropped her favorite toothbrush behind the washing machine. Secondly, Uzumaki turned her plate of scrambled eggs onto the floor. Thirdly, Naruko tore her jeans, so she had to wear other, less comfortable ones. Attention, question. Why is she so distracted? The fact is that Naruko went to bed at 4 o'clock. It's just that Uzumaki remembered late that she had a history test today. As the teacher explained, this test will decide your present and future. Well, it was useless to argue with the teacher, so at home the students had to read half the textbook to prepare. But Naruko, as always, left everything for later and sat down to study the textbook only at 12 o'clock at night. Uzumaki was grateful to all the gods that she had a good memory, otherwise she would have sat for more than 3 hours. There were changes in the schedule, so history was the first lesson. No, Naruko wrote the test, but she was incredibly sleepy. Naruko was still able to take a nap during classes and breaks. Sasuke covered the girl in every possible way. Only during geography lesson Uzumaki didn't manage to take a nap. The girl went to the board, where a large map hung, and the teacher handed the blonde a pointer. Naruko, without hesitation, began to say. Hello, this is the weather forecast. My name is Naruko Uzumaki. In Tokyo. Uzumaki, are you kidding me? The teacher squealed. The whole class was choking with laughter, and the girl herself stood with an imperturbable expression on her face. Why did I call you to the board? Naruko just shrugged. I called you to the board so that you show all the rivers that are mentioned in the paragraph. What did you do? The teacher spluttered. Come on, I was just joking, Naruko said and showed on the map all the rivers that were needed. The teacher more or less calmed down and put an excellent mark in the diary, but the girl showed what was required of her. But then Uzumaki said. I came up with a nickname for you, Bulldog, and sat down in her place. Silence reigned in the class, and exactly a minute later, the teacher exploded again and sent the girl to the director, and he himself left. Apparently, he went to drink some valerian. The last lesson was algebra, taught by Kakashi. He began to explain a new topic. Naruko, as always, listened with half an ear. And everything was fine, if only the door hadn't opened with a bang, hit the wall hard, and fallen off its hinges. The girl did not pay attention, but continued to look out the window, while her classmates, their mouths open in silent shock, looked at the newcomer. The teacher just sighed tiredly when he saw the guest and picked up the chalk that had fallen out of his hand. Kakashi-sensei, I'm back, Databeo. The man greeted. Hearing the familiar Databeo, Naruko fell out of her chair. Everyone stared at her. But a moment later, the girl jumped to her feet and rushed towards the guest, shouting. Naruto! Brother! Brother! Gasped half the class. Naruko spread his arms as wide as possible to hug Naruto. The girl, without thinking twice, jumped into her brother's arms. Voices of tenderness from the guys, and "what a handsome guy," spread throughout the class. From the girls. After the family reunion, Naruto said to his sister, "Naruko, get ready, we're going home." The girl went to collect without any further objections, but Kakashi got in, outraged by this behavior. "Naruto, of course, I understand everything. My former student, brother, whom Naruko hasn't seen for several years, but you have to have a conscience. Naruko has a lesson after all." "Oh, come on, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto waved it off and, seeing his sister next to him, took her by the elbow. "That's it, we'll go, otherwise my wife is still waiting for me in the car." "And so be it, I'll pay for the door." And they left. As soon as Naruko and her brother walked away from the office, the girl began to speak menacingly. "What are you doing here? What if they find you?" "They've already found me," Naruto answered, but seeing his sister's look full of horror, he hastily continued, "Naruko, don't worry. We found the people who killed our parents. After making sure that these were the right people, they turned me into bait." "Yes, I agree, it was risky, but everything went well. And so, just 2 days ago, the perpetrators were jailed for life, which is why I came. This Naruko, Hinata, and I would like to live with you as one family, if you don't mind, of course." "What kind of stupid questions?" "Of course I'll be glad," the girl answered, smiling. Naruto smiled back. "I'm sorry I couldn't take you with me." "You had to live alone for so many years," the man said sadly. "I was not alone. Itachi, Makoto-san, Fugaku-san looked after me, and sometimes Kakashi-sensei came when I didn't want to learn anything. And I also found real friends. These are Sakura Haruno, Suigetsu Hozuki, and Sasuke Uchiha. And anyway, I'm not mad at you," Naruko said. "I'm glad. By the way, have you found yourself a boyfriend?" asked the man. "A girl," Naruko decided to joke. "Well, girl, that's good too," Naruto smiled. "Wait, what?" "Naruko, wake up, Databeo. The girl will have a cheerful voice." Uzumaki opened her eyes and saw her brother with a smile on her face. The girl smiled back. "Naruko, hurry up, Hinata has prepared pancakes." "Okay, I'm getting up, Databeo," Naruko answered and got out of bed. The brother looked at his sister in surprise, but broke into a smile again. Naruko used to insert her Databeo wherever she could. But after the death of her parents, the young girl had to forget about her battle cry in order not to get burned. After all, only the true descendants of the Uzumaki had their own, so-called, unique cry. For a week now, Naruko has been living with his brother and his wife. They are fine. Ah, you're probably wondering what happened next after Naruko told her brother that she found a girl. Well, our person is going to a hellish place called school, I will tell you. Flashback. "Naruko, do you have a boyfriend?" Naruto asked. "Girl," the younger Uzumaki decided to joke. "Well, the girl is fine too," the man smiled, but then the meaning of the words spoken reached him. "Stop, what? What?" My little sis is a lesbian," Naruto said in prostration and, staggering from side to side, went to the car. Naruko followed him, barely holding back her laughter. Walking up to the car, Naruto sat in the back seat, pulled his knees towards him and rested his head on them. He didn't care at all that his sneakers were dirty and his car had just been washed today. Hinata, who was driving, looked at her husband in surprise. "And Naruto-kun, what happened? Where's Naruko?" Hugo's ex was worried. The door to the front seat opened and the above-mentioned person got into the car. "Hello, Hinata. I am so glad to see you." And the girl went to hug. Hinata hugged Naruko back. "Hinata, my little sister is a lesbian," Naruto said from the back seat. Naruko burst into her fist but pretended to cough. The woman, seeing such a reaction, immediately realized where the dog was buried. "Dear, don't be upset," Naruko-chan was joking, Hinata tried to encourage her husband, and then turned to the culprit of the incident. Really, Naruko-chan? What nonsense, of course I'm serious, the young Uzumaki frowned theatrically. A crash was heard from behind. It was Naruto who fainted. At home, Naruto was still pumped out, given a sniff of ammonia and given valerian to drink, and Naruko, under Hinata's eloquent gaze, admitted that it was all a joke. And after a while, I had to calm Hinata down, as Kurama came out of Naruko's room. Hugo's ex almost went crazy at the sight of the wild beast. The woman grabbed a broom and ran after the fox. They barely calmed her down. And poor Kurama did not leave Naruko for another 3 days. And she, in turn, made amends for the fox in the form of the most delicious meat. The evening went well, almost. Naruko was forced to do her homework. The girl fought back as best she could. Uzumaki even threatened to jump out of the window, but it didn't work, since the house is 1-story, although, who am I kidding? My classmate broke his arm jumping from the first floor. Therefore, with grief in half, the girl went to do her homework, but as always through the through the back seat. End flashback. Naruko was already walking to school, happily humming a song to herself. And everything would have been fine if a passing car had not doused Uzumaki with water from a huge puddle. And it's cold outside, after all, winter is in just 2 days. But this did not bother our main character. And Naruko walked further into school, quietly swearing under her breath. She entered the class wet, her classmates immediately flew to the girl with questions, she just waved it off and sat down at her desk. Oh yes. I forgot to say that Kuroshido left for another city and Ayato was left alone. Just kidding, the girls don't give poor Ken a pass, they want to sit with him, but no one gives Ayato. You see, suddenly, Naruko comes to her senses, leaves Sasuke and goes to him. To which Uzumaki laughs and pats the young suitor on the shoulder in a friendly manner. But let's return to Naruko. She should go home to change clothes, it seems like it's not far, but she's too lazy. To be honest, Naruko fell into a puddle 2 days ago and started coughing the day she fell. And to be even more honest, the next day after the fall, Naruko had a sore throat, but she did not attach any importance to it and happily remained silent, hoping that the throat would go away on its own. And today Uzumaki was all wet and refused to go home, saying that everything would dry up on its own, and also the future doctor. And now, also wet, they caught the joke, Naruko is sitting in her first lesson. Chemistry. And somehow Uzumaki was in a mess, which her friends immediately noticed. Naruko, how are you? You don't look good, the girl whispered in Sasuke's ear. That's all Namana, Uzumaki waved it off and again buried her forehead in the desk. Are you sure you're okay? The Uchiha became worried. Usually Uzumaki gets weird already in the first lesson, but here he sits quieter than water, lower than the grass. Sasuke, damn it, leave me alone. You're just like mommy. It's said that everything is fine, that means it's fine, Naruko'd scared. Sasuke didn't bother the girl anymore. And Uzumaki herself will not say that she feels bad. She, witnesses, is strong and never complains. Naruko had been lethargic all day. Even the teachers were worried. But what happened in the dining room hit her hard and left a deep wound in the girl's heart. This happened during lunch. Naruko stayed in the classroom for a bit, and as soon as she entered the cafeteria, she saw Sasuke kissing Ino. Uzumaki remained standing in the doorway until Ayato ran into her. Why are you here? The guy began, but following Naruko's gaze, he came across a couple. Oh. As soon as Yamanako unhooked herself from Sasuke, Uzumaki walked up to the guy, grabbing a tray along the way. Naruko, this is not what you think about. The Uchiha began to make excuses, Ino herself. But the guy was not allowed to finish by the very tray that flew into the Uchiha's face, thanks to Naruko, who, in turn, did not really want to listen to the explanations. There was deathly silence in the dining room. Sasuke, Naruko began calmly, her even voice was more frightening than if the girl had started screaming. I understand that we are breaking up. Okay. Apparently, you will definitely be better off with Ino. Advice and love to you," and Naruko proudly walked out. Sakura immediately ran after the blonde, casting an eloquent glance at the culprit of this incident. Sasuke remained standing in a stupor, despite the fact that his nose was bleeding and painful. Still, Naruko's hand is strong and graceful. A crowd of girls gathered around the Uchiha and began to chatter restlessly. But Sasuke didn't hear anything. He wanted to rush after Naruko, which he basically did, but he was stopped near the entrance. Sasuke turned around and saw Suigetsu. "Let me go," the Uchiha hissed. "If you run after Naruko now, you'll only make things worse." She needed to talk to Sakura alone. "You can explain yourself later," the blue-haired man said in an even voice. "Let's go to the first aid station. We need to do something about your nose." "Do you believe that I am not guilty of anything?" Sasuke asked with a hint of despair and hope. "Of course, we know each other so much. I'm sure you're not capable of such betrayal," Hozuki smiled. "Thank you," the guy smiled somewhat sluggishly in response. At the same time, Naruko and Sakura. Naruko wanted to scream. Naruko wanted to cry. Naruko wanted to be hysterical. But most of all, Naruko wanted him to come back. In such a short time, the girl fell in love with him very much. She couldn't believe that this man would stab her in the back. Uzumaki is afraid to say his name, otherwise she will go crazy. The blonde ran out into the schoolyard undressed. It's cold outside, and Naruko is also sick, which just dawned on her. But she didn't want to go back. "It hurts too much, it's better to stay in the cold." Naruko sat down under a bare tree, hugging her knees to herself and lowering her head, crying for the first time in 5 years. Suddenly, something warm fell on his fragile shoulders. The girl raised her tear-stained eyes and saw Sakura smiling sadly. "Naruko, let's go to my house. My parents went to my aunt's for a week, so I'm alone. I'll give you tea with honey. And it's clear from your face that you're not feeling well. You are ill?" "Don't worry, everything is fine," the pink-haired girl said quietly and extended her hand to her friend. Naruko, in response, trustingly extended her hand, shaking and red from the cold, and stood up. Sakura gave Uzumaki's things, and the two of them went to see Haruno. Sakura's house. Arriving home, Sakura took Naruko's temperature and gave her an antipyretic pill. It took effect in about 10 minutes, and Uzumaki felt much better. The pink-haired girl, as promised, made tea with honey and gave her warm clothes to keep her friend warm. And now both girls are sitting at the table. Sakura did not try to talk to Naruko first, but waited patiently for her to gather her thoughts and tell herself how she felt. Uzumaki warmed her hands on a hot mug of tea and looked at her reflection in the liquid. Eyes as blue as the sky, in which just a couple of hours ago there was still a bright light burning, are now empty and have become a darker shade. "Sakura, what did I do wrong? Why did he leave me?" Naruko asked her friend quietly. "It's not your fault, don't think that it's because of you that you broke up," Haruno reassured her friend. "It's all about Sasuke, don't say his name, please," Uzumaki asked. "Fine. It's all about him." Apparently something clicked in this idiot's head. "I wish I knew what." There were sobs. Sakura looked up from her mug of drink and looked at Naruko. She was crying quietly, and her crying was about to turn into a sob. Haruno jumped up from her seat and began hugging her friend. "If it hurts too much, you can scream. No one will judge you. You can endure as much as you like, but not fully expressed emotions will only make things worse." Sakura stroked her friend's back. Naruko followed the pink-haired girl's advice and screamed as hard as she could, expressing all the pain that had accumulated in her soul. After about 5 minutes, Naruko calmed down and wanted to sleep. Apparently, the pill had taken full effect, and the crying had exhausted the blonde's last strength. Sakura happily provided her bed and a change of clothes for Naruko. The girl lay down safely and fell asleep instantly, but before that Sakura heard words of sincere gratitude. Haruno decided to call the girl's brother so that he would not worry. I got the number from a friend. Hello? Is this Uzumaki Naruto? Haruno Sakura, Naruko's friend, is speaking to you. Naruko was a little sick, so I took her to my home. No, Naruto-san, you don't need to come. I took care of her and now she is sleeping. I don't think she needs to be worried. As soon as Naruko wakes up, I'll tell her to call you. Thank you for your understanding, Naruto-san. Goodbye, and no need to worry so much. Sakura passed out, straightened Naruko's blanket and went to prepare porridge so that when her friend woke up she could feed her well. Naruko woke up only when it was already dark outside the window. Getting out of bed, the girl looked at her watch. The hands showed exactly 7 o'clock in the evening. My head no longer hurt, only the beating of my own heart gave off a dull pain. Tears welled up in her eyes again, but Naruko immediately wiped them away, mentally slapping herself. She reached for the phone that was lying on the nightstand. Turning it on, the girl saw a huge number of missed messages and messages from Ducky Ass, that is, from Sasuke. Naruko did not read anything, but only angrily threw the phone back. Sakura entered the room. Seeing that her friend woke up, she smiled. How do you feel? Asked the pink-haired girl. It's much better now. The girl tried to smile, but it didn't work out as well as I wanted. Don't be sad, everything will work out. I don't think you can go home today. If your brother sees you in this state, there will be too many unnecessary questions, so you'll spend the night with me, Sakura smiled. But I have school tomorrow. Yes, and I'm somehow uncomfortable, Naruko began to make excuses, waving her hands in front of her. It's uncomfortable to sleep on the ceiling, the blanket falls off, and these are minor things. And especially since tomorrow is Saturday, Sakura objected, and I've already agreed with your brother that you will stay with me. When did you have time? The blue-eyed girl asked in surprise. Haruno just smiled mysteriously. I don't have a change of clothes. Don't worry about it, I'll give you mine. Now get up and let's go have dinner, Sakura said. No, I'm so comfortable in bed, so I won't get up. And anyway, I'm sick, bring me dinner in bed, Naruko waved her hand royally. You just said a minute ago that it was inconvenient for you to stay with me overnight, and now you order me to bring you food in bed? The pink-haired girl giggled. Exactly, Naruko turned up her nose, barely holding back a smile. If you don't get up, then you won't see tea with sweets, Sakura sighed. Literally a second later, Naruko stood next to her friend, ready to have dinner. Hi. Just a mess, to start with. Okay, Naruko resigned herself. Literally 2 minutes later, 2 girls sat cheerfully at the table and, laughing, discussed something. Sakura, thank you so much for not leaving me, Uzumaki said quietly, lowering her gaze and looking at her reflection in the mug of tea that her friend had so carefully made for her. I've never had friends. I'm used to dealing with everything myself. Nobody ever cared about my feelings. Everyone humiliated me, mocked me, and literally told me to die. Even after Itachi-san and his family came into my life and extended a helping hand, I felt different from you. We haven't been friends for that long, but I've already become very attached to you, and I really don't know what will happen to me if you decide to leave me. Drops of tears fell into the mug of that same tea. Naruko, Sakura jumped up from her seat and rushed to calm the girl down. I'm honestly not going to leave you. I like talking to you. Believe me, even if the whole world turns against you, I will never leave you under any pretext, I promise. So the girls sat in an embrace for another 10 minutes. Sakura still carefully stroked her friend's hair and whispered soothing words. After Naruko calmed down, they continued to drink their tea, despite the fact that it was already cold. Wow, it's already 10:30. I think it's time to go to bed, Sakura said, looking at her watch. Naruko, you need to rest. No, I don't want to sleep. I got enough sleep, the blonde protested. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Eh? Who could it be? Sakura was surprised. maybe these are your parents? Naruko suggested. No, my parents left on a business trip just yesterday, they can't come back so quickly, Haruno answered. The call was repeated, I'm on my way. Sakura went to open the door, Naruko tagged behind her. When the pink-haired girl opened the door, Uzumaki's surprise knew no bounds. Sasuke stood outside the door, completely out of breath. Just as he wanted to say something, Sakura closed the door. The blonde remained standing in the doorway. Was it Sasuke? Naruko asked quietly. Yes, Sakura answered, she didn't want her friend to see the Uchiha. The doorbell rang again. This time Haruno didn't even move, but the doorbell kept ringing. Let him go, the blue-eyed girl said confidently. But, Sakura protested. I'm ready to listen to all his excuses, Naruko has never seen so much confidence in his eyes. As you say, but if anything happens, I'll kick him out right away, Haruno conceded and opened the door. Sasuke burst into the house and fell. He raised his head and looked at the girl standing in front of him. I came to explain everything, exclaimed the Uchiha. Tea, coffee? Sakura asked. Coffee, Sasuke replied, sighing and getting up from the floor. 10 o'clock at night. In the house. The light was still on in the kitchen. 3 people were sitting at the table. Sasuke with a mug of coffee, and opposite him, with a burning gaze, 2 girls, the mistress of the house, Sakura and Naruko. We're waiting, Uchiha, if you came just to drink coffee, then you didn't choose the best time, Haruno began to appear. No, I came to explain everything and ask for forgiveness, the guy shook his head. He sighed, collecting his thoughts, and began to speak. Ino herself came up and kissed me, that's true. I have evidence. Sasuke turned on the phone and, poking it, turned on the recording with Yamanako's confession that everything was set up. Here, do you hear? I'm not to blame for anything. Naruko, listen, I really love you very much and I can't imagine my life without you. I ask for your forgiveness and, here Sasuke paused and continued again, and please give me one more chance. There was absolute silence for a minute, you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Sasuke patiently waited for an answer, and Sakura looked at the two, looking from the girl to the guy and vice versa. She already knew how the story would end. Okay, I forgive you, Naruko sighed. Sasuke immediately beamed, but if this happens again, you can say goodbye to life. Sasuke jumped up and rushed to hug Uzumaki. She tried to fight back, still angry, but she had little success. Sakura just smiled, happy for the couple and thinking that she would break Ino's nose when she got to school. Sasuke left, having made a promise from Naruko that she would go on a date with him this weekend in order to fix everything. He left. Naruko herself helped Sakura clear the table, complaining that the Uchiha was an asshole, but loved him. And Haruno was happy. Over the weekend, Uzumaki still went on a date with Sasuke and the couple finally made peace. At school they loudly announced that they were back together. How are they, Naruko? When everyone had a general gathering in the morning, Uzumaki climbed onto the roof and shouted to the whole school that Ino was a creature, and Sasuke, whoever approached her, would be beaten with a stick. She was punished for violating discipline and swearing, but the girl didn't care at all. Kakashi cried with happiness on Naruko's shoulder. He said how worried he was that his most beloved students had separated. By the end of the lesson, Uzumaki calmed him down. Naruto, when he learned about this incident with Sasuke, swore to kill the guy. Hinata barely calmed her husband down and Uzumaki Sr. still agreed that Uchiha Jr. was still a good guy. Kurama still took revenge by grabbing his finger when Sasuke wanted to stroke it. Naruko is doing well now. She is very happy. The girl, who from the very beginning had nothing, found everything she dreamed of. But Sakura still broke Ino's nose. Dreams come true. 4 years have passed. I'm late. How late I am. Naruko screamed in her thoughts, running home. Almost tearing down the door, the girl flew into the corridor. I'm home. The blonde shouted out of breath. Welcome back. Quicker. Get ready quickly. Hinata shouted back, entering the corridor. Naruko, how can you be late for your own wedding? Sorry, I was detained in the salon. I'll quickly get ready, the blonde jabbered. Yes, today Naruko Uzumaki, who is 21 years old, is getting married. And she marries Itachi Uchiha. Kidding. For Sasuke Uchiha. Such an exciting day for both the newlyweds and their relatives. How did this happen? You ask. Well. Flashback. A month ago. Sasuke I'm bored Naruko whined, pestering the man. Will you marry me? Sasuke asked without looking up from the book he was reading. Well, go, why not? Naruko answered without hesitation. End of flashback. That's all and no romance. What did you think? These are Uzumaki and Uchiha. Everything is fast and no foreplay. Naruko, you are so beautiful in this suit. Hinata was touched, looking at the girl in a black suit and a bow tie of the same color. Her long blonde hair was braided into two high ponytails, but even so her hair reached to her knees. Yes, Naruko has always been proud of her hair. Thank you, Hinata, the girl smiled happily with all 32 teeth. At the same time in the Uchiha house. Lord, how did I get to this? Sasuke lamented, looking in the mirror in embarrassment. Sasuke, you look cute in that wedding dress, Itachi openly mocked his brother. Shut up. Sasuke turned on his heels and almost fell, but was able to hold on. Ahahahaha. Uchiha Sr. laughed. As soon as the ceremony is over, you can run, Sasuke growled. Take off your dress first, ha 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 ha. Itachi laughed again and, leaving, added, hurry up, the ceremony will begin in an hour. And please don't make such a serious face while you're like that. Ahahaha. If Itachi had not managed to close the door, his face would have met the shoe. 15 minutes later, 2 cars drove out of the Uzumaki and Uchiha house and headed towards the church. You're probably wondering, no, laughing face, how come Sasuke is in a wedding dress and Naruko is in a tuxedo? Well, 2 weeks before the wedding. No. Never. Never. You can't force me. Sasuke shouted. You must. This is punishment for kissing Yamanako. Naruko shouted back. It was 4 years ago. During this time, you yourself have done a lot of mischief to me. You broke my heart then. He wiped his feet on me like on a doormat. What I felt then cannot be compared with my actions. The girl shouted, almost crying, do my feelings really mean nothing to you? Naruko said quietly, sinking to the floor. God. Okay. I'll wear a wedding dress, but only for the ceremony, the guy gave up. Hello, Sakura? The mission makes Sasuke feel humiliated has passed the first stage, Uzumaki smiled, talking to her friend. What? Naruko. Sasuke shouted, but, to his great chagrin, no one was listening to him. The next day, Sasuke and Sakura went to choose a dress for the groom. At first, the Uchiha fought back, swore and even cried, but the girls were relentless. Sasuke has never been so ashamed before. In all the salons they laughed at him, and in some they even asked if he was gay. Then he wanted to destroy all these salons. When Naruko knocked out the suit, she happily talked about what she had prepared for the wedding. None of the workers had laughed for so long. The future Uchiha even said the address where the ceremony would take place so that they could come and laugh. All the rest of the preparation fell on the fragile shoulders of Naruko and Sakura. Well, how fragile, in general, the girls were able to organize everything in a day. Here's to the day, Carl. Some take months to prepare, but here it's even less than 24 hours. My future wife is a monster, Sasuke then grabbed his head. And then a bachelorette party, consisting of only 2. As you may have guessed, it was Naruko and Sakura. The bachelorette party, was quite fun. Half of the Uzumaki house was gone. But the girls didn't stop there. Half of the apartment in which Sasuke and Naruko lived for more than a year was gone. But the girls didn't stop there. The next day they went to the club. There they lit up the dance floor. In the truest sense of the word. They really set the dance floor on fire. It doesn't matter how, drunk girls are not capable of such things. But, thank God, everything worked out. After this, Sasuke and Suigetsu decided that they would drink their drinks only under the strict guidance of the guys. Later, these same guys regretted their decision. Not only did they have their brains eaten out and accused of all sins, but they were also raped. So the girls had fun for 3 days. And what do we have these days? Sasuke and Naruko's apartment in the house, a club set on fire, and guys humiliated and raped. There was a week left before the wedding. And the girls decided to calm down. But let's get back to now. 2 cars arrived at the church at different times. The bride and groom came out of them. They went to different rooms to clean themselves up again. The wedding ceremony is due to begin in 5 minutes. Last parting words and the ceremony itself. And then the bride, Naruko, comes to the altar, accompanied by her brother, Naruto. The guests look at the girl in surprise. Why is she wearing a tuxedo and not a wedding dress? And then the groom comes out, accompanied by his mother, Mikoto. He approaches the altar. The audience froze for a minute and then burst out laughing. Sasuke was ready to kill everyone present. Especially Naruko, who made him dress up like that, and Itachi, who laughed the loudest. Somehow the hall calmed down and the ceremony finally began. Not even a minute had passed before Naruko began to fall asleep on her feet. The girl clicked loudly and stamped her foot. In short, everyone stared at Naruko in surprise. She, in turn, continued, "I'm getting bored and hungry. Sasuke, whether you like it or not, you are now my husband." She put the ring on Sasuke's finger. "You won't be able to run away, the stilettos are in the way. I am now your wife, Naruko Uchiha." The girl herself put the ring on her finger. Now we put signatures. The couple completed this stage. We kiss and leave. Dear guests, I ask you to freely grab your cars and go to the restaurant. Sasuke, let's go. Naruko now grabbed her husband in her arms and was the first to run away. At first, the guests moved away from what had happened, then they laughed for a long time, and only 10 minutes later they went to the restaurant. In short, the wedding went off with a bang. Naruko's bachelorette parties, compared to what happened in the restaurant, were flowers. It's good that there were no casualties. True, the damage caused to the restaurant was enormous, but no money was taken. The owner said that he had never had so much fun. He congratulated the newlyweds once again and released them. Naruko and Sasuke are doing well. True, the latter screamed and swore to kill Naruko for a long time because she posted a photo of the Uchiha in a wedding dress. And now he takes first place in the top 100 best brides in the world. But that is another story. This is the end, guys.